How's it going, everyone? And welcome to another episode of No Excuses on YouTube.com with your favorite show hosts, RSL.
A complete lack of enthusiasm.
Yeah, I try to do it a little bit different every week, but my throat's a little goopy this week, so
Yep.
the juice just ain't there. So you get the I'm here voice.
I'm Venorian.
And I'm Volasel.
There you go.
Yes.
Yes.
I had a mouthful of water at the time that it became my turn to speak.
Yes. That's okay. I am trying to squeeze in my lunch as things go because it is my fault the show was late.
We're here to bring you the latest news and commentary on the video games industry for the week. First of all, if you'd like to get involved with the show, you can do so by sending us an email at noexcusesvtw@gmail.com, or you can follow us on the Twitter at noexcusesvtw, or you can join us in our Discord server, which you can get to by clicking on the link provided in the description underneath the show archive on YouTube.
Mills indeed. So, on the stream today, you are going to be assaulted by colours because it is Fall Guys crossover time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Which I have never touched. These guys have done it. I have not even been near it. Nor have I ever played the original Fall Guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an obstacle course. Every single obstacle is BS. But it's literally just go to the playpen, talk to the dude. These are the beans. Go queue up.
Yeah, talk to the beans. So, yeah, Fall Guys. It's a battle royale where it's kind of an elimination obstacle course. It's a lot of fun. I like Fall Guys, though it's not the sort of game I can play a lot of. I play a few rounds and I put it down, maybe play a few more rounds. That's about it.
So
I've watched ARMA playing it, so I've got a loose idea of what it looks like.
I do not know, Fern, if you have the setup still laying around, but I will turn a stream on that in case I manage to make it further than you guys. You can. I highly recommend you wear a glamour that lets you see your feet.
Yes, you do want visible feet.
Have any glamours that let me see my feet?
That is an excellent question. Do you?
I have Ninja. That's about the only one with a clear view of my feet.
Yeah. Okay, let me see if I can rejigger this thing so I can actually switch to RE Cam.
Yeah.
I'm doing this live!
Yep. So, since I've got a consistent connection now, I can actually stream to Discord, and we can use that to do stream bumming.
Yes.
A lot of flowy coats and dresses.
You'll be fine. It's just help. It's just a pro tip.
That over there, and if I go, that's already kind of capturing you. Hang on, I think I might have to that.
There's a lot of weird background noise.
Yeah. I still have my sound muted, so.
Whoops, no, not that button. So while I am jiggering things in real time, not that the stream should be able to see it, it's just seeing my character standing there in, rainbow hellscape. Let's dive into weeks, I suppose. Hang on, if I do this, my week has been another, not a whole lot really. It's been the finale of Drunk Cowboys, thankfully, for this year. They are gone, and they will not be coming back for a few months.
Hooray.
Okay, if I put that kind of there, it's going to be a little bit off center because I'm not doing this actively. And if I press that and put it, where's it not going to get in the way? Kind of there, I guess. That'll do. Okay, RECam is now set up in real time, so I should press this button, and there we go. You can see what Ari's doing because I'm not doing anything.
Yep. So I
So
will tell you if it's working when it gets to that part of the stream, or if it's just goes to black screen or something weird.
So yeah, my week this week has been a kind of a nothing week again. I did play a little bit of Vidya. I started picking back again at Baldur's Gate 3 because I kind of fell off that. I got distracted by something shiny. Something else shiny. But Baldur's Gate
Mhm.
3 continues to be extremely good and also continues to have some of the best patch notes in the industry lately.
Man,
For example, the patch they released last night said you can now lick the spider meat and get sick.
oh, I thought you meant genuinely good patch notes, that, like give you the full details, like
Oh no,
the
no.
poor team that is trying to get the PC version of the latest Trails games fixed up for Nisa.
Yeah, not that kind of patch note. It is the completely accurate but also incredibly weird patch note.
Okay. I think I prefer the passive aggressive jabs at Nisa from the PC localizers of Trails into Reverie.
I admit those patch notes are also great.
Like, we would love to fix all these text changes, but Nisa's not going to let us unless we can roll it out on everything. They don't say it like that, but it's way subtler and more
Yeah.
passive aggressive.
Like these are some seriously tilted patch notes. I love it.
Ready for the queue?
Yep, let's
Well-
do it. So we did a bit of Fall Guys earlier in the week.
never been ready.
Ari's doing okay with it, but the further away you get from the data center, the more jank it gets.
And yeah, it is still. You'll see when I'm playing. It's reasonable to say the lag is where it's at, but man,
Yeah,
you still got to be psychic sometimes.
yeah. In
It
my
depends
case,
entirely on how much compensation is on your end for the particular obstacle, and the fists have none.
yeah, the fists I have to kind of walk through a lot of the time. In my case,
Even though
I
they
tend to
have a barrier that stuns you if you touch them.
Yeah, if you touch them too soon.
They put a lot of work into this.
They did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, they've got a few recycled assets, like some of those balloons around the place.
This is very, very loud with my visual filters on.
Yes, it
I think
is.
my eyes are starting to water.
The most filter
That's-
I've got turned off is just the removal of that green shader over everything, and it's bright.
Ari has seen my filters. My saturation is really high.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's,
I'm currently using a reshade preset that
Whoopsie.
cranks my HDR up through the roof.
I don't understand what I'm looking at here. Why is
Yeah,
this
what-
platform the same color as the sky?
Because
When you,
this is Fall Guys. If
when
your
you
eyes aren't
touch that-
bleeding,
Yeah, when you touch that first platform, you get a force march.
Yeah, you
Alright.
told me that after I've already force marched off.
Oh crap! I just got bumpered.
I've lost my groove. I had it the other day, and now I don't.
I didn't understand what I was looking at. I'm still on the first obstacle.
That's okay. Everybody's gonna get bodied by the swingy balls.
Oh,
The
come
swingy
on.
balls bop everybody.
So yeah, this is the chaos of Fall Guys, and yeah, Ari's doing okay. We are not, because I'm just dumb.
I don't really know what I'm looking at here.
Does that count?
With those bits,
It
those
counts.
sticks, don't get bopped.
But I only know how to get bopped. Getting bopped is how I do.
Is the easiest boppage.
Oh no! People are figuring it out. It's not like launch day where nobody knew what they were doing, and the servers aren't slamming jamming, so the lag isn't as bad.
You know, there's no reason for me to even attempt to dodge these things.
Yeah.
Because I'm fairly sure that any attempt to dodge is going to have no effect whatsoever.
Okay, I'm going this way. Oh.
Yeah, that was fast. People have the no latency on the obstacles compared to launch day, plus people knowing how to
It
do it now.
is. It does feel a bit better now that I'm getting that used to it again.
Yeah, but it means all the people that are running this nonstop are getting for the chivos or the coins are getting too good at it.
Yeah.
Don't do anything, or do I have to sit and watch now?
You can just sit and watch now. Yeah.
This is why I don't play Fall Guys
Well,
or any other battle
Yeah.
royale, because I don't value games that waste my time.
Well, normally Fall Guys, you have the big exit button. You can just drop out at any time. Once you're eliminated, you can drop out and you can be back in the next game in like 10 seconds, depending on queues. I think it's just because we are currently in a group is if we leave, I think we drag Ari out with us, and we don't want that.
Yeah, it is currently a yet another piece of content that discourages you from playing with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big pain, but I mostly just wanted to do it once so that we could show off the new content that came out, so people know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So
while we just sit here and watch Typhon spin around in circles, breathing out of both ends because that's what Typhon do. Gaming.
This is just a survival map, by the way.
Yeah, you just got to stay on the platform. Typhon spins faster, and more boppers pop up.
Yeah, the course gets harder the more laps you do, and you have to stay ahead of Typhon and their sneezes.
Yeah.
Victory. All right, go into gem.
I wonder if you do go far enough, and he does start blasting out both ends.
That would be hilarious, but it would also make no sense since the point is to stay ahead of the wind. So,
yeah, that'd be, you guys are taking way too long. Let's just get this over with.
And he spins faster and faster, so I assume eventually he reaches a speed where he just is going to knock people off.
Yeah. Anyway, gaming this week, the only game I really tried new this week is Fist. I played briefly, and that's that one that was announced.
Oh, I played that.
Yeah. It's okay. It's
Is
like
that furry game?
Yeah, it is.
It's the rabbit one.
It's the rabbit one with the giant mechanical fist.
Although the furriness of it, they are super animal.
They are.
They're not.
Okay, so
Western
then
furry.
they're not in the furry bracket. They're just animals that happen to be able to talk or whatever.
Yeah,
Kind
pretty
of.
much.
They do run the gamut. Like the main character and all the rabbits are very much just rabbits or at least hares. But some
Lost
others do get closer to the furry line, like the bear.
I've lost my groove. I'm so not winning this.
Yeah, unless someone gets horribly bopped.
I'm like in third or fourth. Oh, and there's the marchy balls. Nope.
Yeah. So yeah, but because it was done initially in Chinese and now they've translated it to English, every sentence seems to have the word "first" snuck in there somewhere because, oh god, what is that?
I'm a bit rustled that I was first to complete that by a long time. But I was able to run in a straight line right.
You're
to
a
the
ghost. It doesn't count.
But yeah, those if Fern's still got his camera on, those are the rewards for making it to the final round. Which,
Yeah.
If you're on a good connection, you can do with practice. If you're not, you can do after you become psychic. And get to the future.
Yeah. I will change back to my camera. I'm going to go through this again, and we'll see if I can figure things out and not do it dumb this time. Are you coming along as well, Aria, or are you popping out?
I can go with you a few more times. It's just not very good group content.
It really is.
Because you get
no group interaction whatsoever.
Yeah, it's. I only wanted to really do it once or twice to just show what it was, so people have a better idea what it is. But
since it's like a collab, I can sort of forgive it, but it does sort of just seem to be part of the game's overall current disease of trying to stop you from playing with your friends.
Yes.
It's like, I understand how badly they want the game to be soloable, but it's still an MMO and it should play like one.
It should not actively
Oh.
disincentivize you from playing with your friends.
Oh, what is that? There's a mashup of a werewolf costume and the Vanu set. Why? Have you no shame?
I've never understood why a game like Fall Guys doesn't just have a losers bracket.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But just have the rewards and allow people to play in a losers bracket so that everybody's going to get at least 2 rounds of play instead of 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason, none of the battle royale games do that.
Yeah,
If you're out, you just gotta leave and start again. And this is why I can't get into them. Zoomers seem to be way more solo play oriented than we are, and that
Zoomers are way more self-centered, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's and they're okay with mostly solo queuing and just leaving a queue after. We get the same map again. Yeah, we did.
Yep.
I almost angled myself weird.
Don't do that. That's how you fall off. Ack! And now you get to see the jank that is oceanic lag on this.
Yeah, I'll just take the hit there. Yeah, normally what gets people on this particular first map is the back and forth balls where you got to do the tornado spin.
Yeah,
Because there's literally no interaction between what the balls are doing and what you're doing.
Yeah, I do not trust the square unless the square has literally just been lit up that lights up underneath the balls while they swing.
Yeah.
And so I always take the safe, longer way around because there's no reward for coming in first. As long as you qualify. You get literally no bonus for coming in first. So there's no incentive at all to do more than the bare minimum. You gotta be kidding me. That counted?
Yeah.
Yeah, as you can see, I was well past that bumper, but the server just doesn't care.
There we go. Qualified that time. Without doing it dumb, but I hate that last climb. It's just...
I'm not even sure what's going on here.
Are you at the spinny part?
No, I'm in some pink slime.
Okay, you're at the last part. Yeah. This has bumpers on it. The bumpers go back and forth, and you can't touch them at all, even when they're stationary. And
oh, there you are.
They are one of the two or three obstacles that has 0 compensation for client side. So they
yeah, they will wreck you.
The fists, and the little cone things.
Yeah.
I've already lost interest in this entirely.
The thing is, though, is because this is spammable, you can earn a lot of gold saucer coins just doing this.
Yeah, if people are queuing and you make it to the final round, you can get like 2.7k MGP with a card going, and it takes about 5 minutes. It's basically what do you call it? Gates that you can do between gates.
Yeah.
If you really, really just want to farm MGP.
Yeah. Like, you can unlock all the Fall Guys rewards in about 2 hours, 2-3 hours, depending on how good you are.
Now, if you don't make it to the final round and you just keep falling out at the first round, you only get it's not worth it. Basically, you're better off punching Greg.
Yeah.
I think you get 1,000 for finishing the first round, only 500 if you as a consolation or something.
Yeah, it's not much. You go bully Greg and you're good. Oh, catching up. Route this time.
Yeah, you don't have to go a million miles an hour on this. It's always better to play this map safe, because this map is not a speed map. This is a survival map.
Yeah.
You don't need to come in. You don't need to make it to an endpoint. You just need to make it, and as in not die.
Ah, I died. I got boxed.
I qualified.
So yeah, yeah, I didn't mind Fist, but before we get into what the actual game is did you try and get the controller to work on it?
Yeah, it worked fine for me.
Wouldn't for me. It would jump, and that was it. And I tried it with 2 different controllers, both the PlayStation and the Switch one.
Oh, I used a PS5 controller, so.
So yeah, PS4 and Switch, same thing, just would not work. I'm not sure how much of that is on the game and how much of that is on Steam Big Picture, though, because every time I'd close the game, Steam Big Picture would be open again.
Yeah, I disable Big Picture and use the janky controller normal PC mode interface.
Yeah, which is...
You qualified, friend.
Oh, did I? I guess I did. Alright. Stop looking at the screen because I died.
You must not have hit the edge of the arena in time. Pro tip on this map, always go to the right.
Yes, ack.
Because you can see when that's about to happen and then run in front of everybody.
Aha, bounced forward. Greg, no! Oh, Jim, sorry, wrong one.
Oh no! I touched the hammer. I totally had that guy, but no.
Hi. So yeah, that's the Fall Guys crossover. Where's her pants?
It's a cat girl. We don't have pants. Our culture has outlawed them.
There's the cat girl who is currently wearing pants.
But
I'm wearing hose, my dude.
Oh,
It ain't pants. Have you seen my ninja outfit? It's not pants, it's hose. It's like skin tight something or other.
Yeah. There you are. Okay, yeah, that is really stretching the definition of pants in any form.
Yeah, it's semi-translucent hose. I have boots and a crotch flap for a
Yeah,
reason.
you got a butt flap. Alright, not sure what else we're going to do on the show now. I might go and decorate my house because I've been putting that off.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, once I ended up remapping all the keyboard commands so I could play it on the keyboard, which is less than optimal, but okay once I remapped everything.
Yeah, just put a bullet in big picture. It only gets in the way.
It is, yeah, it's the worst.
They've updated the PC basic controller interface enough that you don't need big picture anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, right, you used to have to, didn't you? There was like literally no other way to get controllers to work than to go through big picture.
It's been a while since I've used
whose idea that was.
I'm gonna do cliffhanger real quick since I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah, why not? Yeah, this was one of those things where someone at Valve thought it was or they had a good idea.
They certainly had an idea, all right. I'm not gonna make it. There's like 10 seconds left on cliffhanger.
I'm still down for it. Shurg!
I tried to sprint it because I saw a little time was left. It did not work.
I got 100 free MGP. That's fine, I guess.
I spawned into it just in time to see the 100 pop up on my screen.
Free money!
Yeah, I clicked a button and got 100 MGP, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. Vol, you still need Time War artifacts?
Yep.
I still
for the rest of my life, most likely.
I still got that save we had last time. A friend wants to decorate his house, where he can come with us to Palace.
Actually, invite me back. Let's go to Palace. Screw it. I will procrastinate on house decorations a little longer.
All right.
What class should I bring? Actually, I'm not going to get any experience for any of these, I guess.
Do you have anything between 10 and 60?
Yes, but I don't want to.
Why?
You know what it is.
Oh, that one. Yeah, that's gonna suck.
Fine.
Vol, you're gonna have to come here and kill your save if we bring Fern at the one at floor 71.
Yep, I think I've got to reset one anyway.
So what is your other save at anyway? Because you don't come in here that often.
It's past Behemoth at floor 181 with a decent palm set. But I'm keeping it in my pocket until I'm get another run going up to around there where I'm back in practice and really got my groove going. So I can take a real serious shot at it because I haven't done Deep Dungeon in a while.
Yeah.
So burning that save when I don't need to is painful. All right, everybody got an open slot?
Yep.
That one, I guess. Killed the other one, but never mind. Doesn't matter. Okay, away we go. So yeah, I didn't mind Fist. We'll try and keep on topic. We're not very good at it.
Every time you say Fist, though, I just think of the Muscle Wizard.
Yes, well, that's basically all you do. It's a Metroidvania where you cast Fist.
Yeah, it's just a competently designed Metroidvania with a decent combat system. It's not great, but it's not awful.
It's not the worst.
And it is perfectly suitable for its purposes.
Right now, I have one button, which is also... Oh. I have 0 buttons.
You have frog button.
So, yeah, this is back to level 1 where all I can do is cast Fist.
You know what? I'm just going to keep a strength running permanently on me.
Yeah, might as well.
We don't need them until the... Oh, I'm frog.
You also can't cast Fist. Oh, I have a second button. I can also Fist.
So yeah, I didn't talk much about Fist when I played it because there wasn't much to say that I haven't already covered with other Metroidvanias.
Yeah,
It is just a competent Metroidvania type game.
Yeah, like you get your wall jump early on, you have your dash from the start. It's nothing. Doesn't do anything new. It's just competent, and it's a good way to kill an afternoon.
Yeah, it's relatively short, 8-10 hours, I think.
Yeah. Oopsie.
But well, for that type of game, that's not short. That's
not too
about
bad.
average.
Yeah.
But
the voice acting is kind of all over the place, admittedly.
It can be pretty funny sometimes.
Yeah. Like, the very first time you hear the protagonist's voice, it's like he's a grumpy-looking rabbit, but he has the deepest voice in the cast so far. Like, what the hell? Whereas the bear, he's just a bro.
Oh, the ramen shop bear or whatever.
The panda shop. Panda in the shop. But also the other bear, who is an actual bear. So, yeah, it's a competent game. As far as animus, still going on what I've been watching. Shangri-La continues. It's like they're finally starting to get a plot going in like episode 5. Everything up until this point has just been faff about in video game. This is...
I think that there are more than enough series that do that.
Yeah. Well, usually it's like, we are stuck in video game, and therefore it kind of sours the faff.
Well, the one with Maple wasn't like that.
No, she was peak faff.
I really liked that one. I bought that one on Blu-ray because I enjoyed it so much, and it's such a shallow and stupid show. But for some reason, I found it extremely endearing.
Problem is, though, is season 1 I found really endearing. Season 2, I just could not get back into.
I think that it really needs the momentum of having content before and after it, and I think it's a victim of the anime green lighting process more than anything else.
Yeah,
because everything's going to get sampled once, basically.
Yeah, because if once you fall off the escalator of elevating ridiculousness, you take a break, you come back, she's already completely over the top.
Yeah, the thing is that when I heard that the next season was coming out, I just rewatched the entire thing on my Blu-ray copy before it started, so I had all of the momentum going in.
Mm-hmm. Which is, what I'm actually started doing with Jujutsu Kaisen.
You kind of have to with that one, because nothing will make any sense. You won't remember who anybody is.
Yeah, that's the thing, is I kind of went to go and watch season 2, and then remembered, aside from Gojo, I don't remember who is who and what is what. This is the Gojo show, otherwise. Which, admittedly, it usually is, but still.
But it means you get to see Boogie Woogie again.
Oh, good, you get to see Boogie Woogie again.
The best name for a special technique in that show.
But going back and watching the first couple of episodes again it's easy to get hooked back into, because just those first few episodes are just pure hype.
Yeah, I recently rewatched and season 1. Well, I put it on the other monitor. I didn't really watch. I just wanted a refresher.
Yep.
And
I know where the trap is now.
And got started on season 2.
Yeah. So we'll go with that. The Undead Unluck is proving to be just shonen. I mean, it came out of Shonen Jump, of course, so had a really, really good fight scene. Things are getting ridiculous. And a villain who is not completely a asshole. They're actually quite a nice person when they're not trying to murder the protagonists. Although, there is one villain who shows up in episode 2 who I think just needs a good kick in the face. Not because he's a bad person, it's just because he's insufferably smarmy. They haven't actually revealed what his power is. I'm thinking it's something like uncertainty or something, because he seems to exploit people's doubts, but yeah, they don't.
Hands open.
They don't haven't gone into it. But yeah, beyond that, that's basically been my week. Is a little bit of Animu and a little bit of video game. Not much of a whole lot.
Cairns open.
But right. No, patrols are coming.
Yeah, me and Vol have the primary objective of in Palace of the Dead to get Time Worn artifacts, and this means clearing the floors as fast as possible.
Yeah, until we like looking down the barrel of the Obdulord guy or the or something like that, we don't really need to worry too much about picking anything up.
Actually, just because I can, I'm going to. Hey, watch Ari for a bit.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, Vol, what you been up to?
Not a lot. This week was pretty brutal. Lots of things are going terribly, as per usual. One guy lost his visa. He's a American who married a New Zealander, but the New Zealand Immigration Department is sort of like renowned for being incompetent and slow.
I thought they were also renowned
that's
for
true,
being unbearably forgiving.
Not to white people.
It's like the thing is that like if you like there's lots of like stupid stuff that they are famous for doing. Like there was somebody who applied for a visa and they supplied like their dog's photos instead of their own photos and still got approved.
You what?
There are people who apply for a visa and they get multiple. There are people who will like submit a massive case full of supporting information and will just get put on the back burner for 6 months. Like, there's no rhyme or reason to anything getting done. And we've got we've got a huge number of people who should not be here legally, and we're an island nation on the bottom of the world who doesn't share a land border with anybody.
Yeah.
And it's simply because our immigration department is so incompetent that anybody who comes here legally is probably going to eventually end up being illegal whether they like it or not. Because the processing rates are so slow.
Just through sheer incompetence.
Yeah. Like the margin of the margin for getting an interim visa for when your visa expires, no matter how early you apply for it, is about normally you'll get a verdict about 7 days before your visa actually expires on whether or not you're going to be granted an interim while your next one is processed. So the span of time you've got is very, very narrow. Basically, it's incredibly dumb and bad. And last I heard, they're up to July this year in the backlog.
Wow.
And that's just for assigning case officers, not even processing them.
Good grief! How do they actually get anything done at all?
Well, they don't. That's the problem.
Uh.
That's why they're so slow and so far behind. But when it comes to actually assessing things, it always gets done incorrectly, no matter what. So yeah, it's just a total clown fiesta. And so unfortunately, I've lost one of my best technicians to the clown fiesta. We're hoping that the general manager has enough clout that he can sort of lean on them to get something done, because being that they're your usual bureaucratic organisation, one of two things tends to happen. Either they be obstructive just to troll you because they're bureaucrats and they hate everybody,
yes.
Or number two, they get annoyed by you pestering them and will engage in nepotism to get you to go away.
Just flip a coin as to which one it's going to be.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not what I would call a process by any conventional definition of the term. But yeah, and I've got a death march this coming week because of an audit next week, and that audit is on my day off, so I'm not going to have morale levels of 0 all week because I'm not going to get a weekend. So yeah, basically I'm completely miserable. I basically didn't have any time to play video since I was at work for 11 hours every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I came home and passed out each evening, so yeah, I didn't really play anything. I the only thing I played really was I did the story for the Blue Archive event, the current Blue Archive event, and the story is incredibly silly and quite entertaining, and I quite liked it. The gist of it is that Momoy, the probably the densest member of the games development department at Millennium School, is cited at the arcade, basically being a poor loser. And this leads somebody to assume that she is Neru, the president of Cleaning and Clearing, the Black Ops, the Millennium Black Ops department, and so she gets hired by this guy under the assumption that she is the leader of CNC, and so the games development department have to basically masquerade as the like Black Ops elite of Millennium, despite being a bunch of complete clowns and misfits.
Right.
And try and cover up the fact because they're convinced Neru is going to kill them if she ever finds out what they've done. So it's a shenanigans ensue.
Even though Nero's only being, I did not get Wildfire Hunt. Oh well. Oh, I have a healer. I don't have to.
You've got a healer, so
Yeah.
stop trolling me.
I don't have to kite him. I got a healer. Turn him back this way.
Positionals.
There's no positionals. It's to Palace of the Dead, my dude.
Fair call.
He's got a complete circle. You didn't got
He do have a complete circle.
Same as Bajra, same as Yurika, same as a good chunk of the game.
I'm honestly
Or
wondering
positionals.
why they keep positionals in the game at all.
Well,
I mean-
because they're kind of important for a lot of fights, and they create a distinction between people who know their class poorly and know their class well. The difference in damage for Dragoon at least the difference in damage is less than 10%. So if you're a person who just obeys the ABCs, always be casting, you're going to do better than somebody who's trying to do positionals and doesn't do always be casting, which is 90% of the player base.
Yeah.
So positionals are a luxury technique that you use once you've got the hang of the class and already know it more or less inside out.
Look at them
So-
rewards for how long that take? 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Those are significantly higher than variant dungeons.
They are.
Why? Why can't they design? My goodness.
I'm mugshotting. I haven't actually made a portrait for my monk yet because monk.
I'm just gonna burn up a bunch of these palms.
Yeah,
Sweet.
if there's
Don't
one
have to
job
stop.
aside from Astro at the moment that could probably do with an overhaul, I think it might be monk.
Monk gets one every.
No, I think that Monk, as it's currently structured, is actually pretty decent. They just need some solution to the having to body pull everything issue.
Yeah, fix that, and I think things will feel a lot better, mate.
Yeah, give you a reduced potency use of enlightenment outside of combat or something.
Or throw rock or something.
But yeah, anyway, so the story was quite entertaining. It was short and it was silly, like most of the event stories. The main purpose of it, other than to see more shenanigans on the part of the games development department, is to introduce the second of the 7 prisoners, Akira. So the one we're all familiar with is Wakamo, who's basically each of the 7 is supposed to sort of loosely embody one of the 7 vices. So Wakamo is Wrath. She just destroys things. And this Akira is avarice. Basically, she takes things. So, yeah, she's basically playing the role of Phantom Thief in this scenario, and it was sort of interesting having played now like the Phantom Thief story associated with Blue Archive and the one associated with FGO, and the sort of the way that they've got different takes on these things is kind of interesting. But yeah, overall it was an interesting event.
Yeah.
What do you say? What are you saying?
Oh, I almost had thought, but I decided against it.
Was it a bad thought?
It has it has a mini game associated with it though, which it's sort of a little sort of mini roguelike game where you play as either Yuzu or Aris, and you advance through a series of stages where you've got like mooks shooting at you, and you interact with it in a bullet hell kind of way, and then each time you clear a room you'll get an upgrade or whatever, which will do different things like increase attack damage, increase crit, and add an extra shot, add a shot that goes diagonal, make your shots bounce, whatever. And it's a fun little game, or well, it kind of would be, except it's just too hard for me to play on a phone. Like, I'm bad at those things to begin with, but playing on a phone just makes it much, much harder. I mean, there's really nothing to be done about that. That's just the way it is. I don't have a tablet. I don't really want to go to the effort of setting it up on my PC either, because it's a pain in the butt to do that, and it often doesn't quite work the way you want, and you get lag issues and that sort of thing sometimes. But yeah, I've sort of given up on getting any decent rewards out of it, because, well, the rewards that you can get are pretty good. If you can get a perfect run and then just sweep for an entire event's worth of currency, you're going to get a lot of loot out of it. But that's basically, you know, a privilege reserved for people who are good at the mini game, and I'm not one of those people because it's pretty much purely skill based. It's not associated with your character's levels or stats at all. So yeah, but yeah, it is what it is, and it's, you know, I appreciate the work that they put into it. It's sort of like in the way they put a lot of work into the mini games in Pinecone.
I miss Kuka Cannon. I miss Kuka Cannon so much.
That's so ridiculous.
Ari is a big fan of the Kuka Cannon. Awoken him a strange affection for Kuka.
She's just so fun to abuse.
But she enjoys it, and it makes it icky.
It's okay. She's like a living punching bag.
Yes, but she's like Darkness. That's how she gets her jollies.
I like Kuka better than Darkness, because Kuka is Darkness tries to play the coy, I'm not really that degenerate sometimes in her jokes. Sometimes she plays it straight. But Kuka is always Kuka.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kuka doesn't have an off switch.
Whereas Darkness at least does.
Well, she
sometimes
tries to.
It's broken, but it is there.
Also, I got way more mileage out of Wado Kuka than I ever should have, so I developed a gameplay affection for her.
But yeah, that was an event, all right. I spent a disproportionate amount of time playing with that thing. But yeah, I don't think I've really done much else with the video. I've more or less finished the Yamatai Teikoku event in FGO, the rerun. I cleared the entire shop as well, and I haven't even finished the event yet.
I don't have auto crossbow on my bar because I was in Eureka and I made space for the bunny carrot.
Gotta get your dackers. What are you doing?
Oh no, I do have it on my bar. It's just in a wacky little spot.
Oh.
Isn't the bunny carrot on the quest log though?
Yeah, but I want to be able to push it quickly on my keyboard.
Oh.
Okay.
Or not my keyboard, my controller, because I have to mash the select button to get over there.
Yeah, I haven't really played any other video than that. The next Gura Gura event will be out shortly for FGO, the new one, which has Mysterious Ranmaru X as the welfare, who is one of the better welfares, I think, if I recall correctly. And yeah, I don't know anything about the story of that, but it's a Gura Gura story, so it's likely to be retarded.
Yeah.
In a good way. Usually in a good way. Retarded in a good way. Although one of them, like I think the third Gura Gura event, or the second one, well, the Imperial one, the Imperial Tokyo one was surprisingly dark for a Gura Gura event. But yeah, Yeah, I don't think I've really done much else with video games. I just haven't had the time, and I'm not likely to this week either, depending on how things go. And yeah, my mood is likely to be pretty poor all week since I know that I've got a non-weekend coming up. Government audits. Why do we need them?
I really should just make a few macros for when you're having bad weeks. Yeah,
I've never participated in one of these audits because this is the government sending their freaking health and safety people to look at the health and safety protocols, which is the worst one in my opinion because it's so far out of my expertise and I don't really have any idea what they're going to want to look at. Yeah. And they often just like quiz you on the minutiae of your company's like health and safety policy, which is not something I know or care anything about. Like, I deeply, deeply resent health and safety.
Well, the bulk of what they do is just common sense.
Well, it's not that. It's that that's not what I'm concerned about because you can usually wave that stuff off. The reason why I hate the health and safety edifice is that it basically... The primary purpose of it, in, like, real world terms, is it provides a means for your company's complainers to make a huge nuisance of themselves with administrative backing.
Yep.
And that's the part that I hate because anything that they don't like, that I'm like, no, this isn't a priority, we're not going to address this because you're just like, I don't care that you're slightly uncomfortable because the room is a degree hotter than you'd prefer or whatever. Then all they have to do is file a health and safety complaint about it, and all of a sudden I'm expected to take their idiocy secret seriously.
Yeah.
I just deeply resent it because it enables the most useless complaints to take up the most resources.
Yeah. On the other hand, though, I can see a view from him in certain circumstances. Like, I used to know a big health and safety guy in one of the mine sites, and he'd tell things like he'd go on a mine site and here's someone out on a board over a 100-meter drop, and the only thing at the other end of the board is like a couple of cans of paint.
But people do that because they're dumb, and no amount of bureaucracy is going to stop people from doing things that are dumb.
And
and furthermore, he agreed to it when he signed up for the job, and when he can quit at any time.
What, being dumb?
No, he can quit the job.
Okay,
if he thinks it's too dangerous. You can't save people from idiocy. Idiots will find ways to hurt themselves or kill themselves.
Yeah, the old statement of when you make things idiot-proof, they just make a better idiot.
Yeah, this is the reason I talk about how my probably, in fact, definitely, very illegal activity with the way I dodge health and safety when I'm on a job site comes into play. Like, oh, we need somebody with more than a hazmat suit to go jump in the pit to go grab the thing. Yeah, get the lady distracted, and it has happened multiple times, at least 4 or 5 times. I've had the customer go distract the lady while I go fix the problem.
Yeah, and that's another important skill to learn.
Yeah, how to make the government a non-issue?
How to distract the lady, at least.
I detest, like, on-the-ground, on-site health and safety staff as well, because basically they're employed on the basis of them being complainers. Like, that's the marketable freaking skill. But nearly all of these people are sort of like middle-aged women.
Yeah, they give it to the
nothing to do. Like it is literally the Karen job.
Yes. The only person who wants to do it is in fact Karen.
It's one thing to sort of like maintain a minimum amount of health and safety protocols on your work site, but that's not what health and safety departments do. What they do is just provide a bunch of, bureaucratic means to obstruct work.
Yeah, like that position in a lot of workplaces, it started off as just someone who'd go through, make sure all the power lines are connected, the first aid kits were up to date, and all that. That was about it.
That might have lasted a week, but then that person had to justify keeping their job and their paycheck.
Yeah.
Well, somebody allocated power to them. The power to stop people from working. Which means that because the law gave health and safety officers the legal power to issue a stop work notice, and that's how it is structured in New Zealand, it's not The power of a health and safety officer in New Zealand does not come from the company. It comes from the government. They have the authority to issue a stop work notice to their company that can't be overturned by the company. Or at least not without attracting an absolutely colossal fine. Which basically means that having health and safety people issues them with the authority to do anything that they please within what they think is defensible before a tribunal of people who are exactly like them.
Anyway, rant over.
So yeah, but this is going to be my life for the next week and a bit.
Yeah,
Is dealing with this crap, which I deeply hate.
I really should just make some macros with, you got this, man. Yeah, people am dumb and fuck the government, so I can just send them to you every night.
Why they beat us way, man?
I only have to kite him when he does the water, right?
yeah.
Okay, come here. Get on the edge of the arena, you jackass.
But yeah. I don't really think I've got much else to talk about games-wise, anime-wise. I can't really think of much of anything either. There's nothing I think that I've seen that really deserves any special comment. Although I was sort of taken aback at how utterly relentless Arknights is at just sort of being generally depressing. Everybody has a horribly tragic backstory and meets a horribly sticky end, no matter how little they deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that most of the people that seem to be able to survive more than half a character, more than half a story arc, tend to be horrible people.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got 4 sacks for that.
Damn.
Yes. I
But yeah.
still haven't gotten any time
Arknights,
artifacts though.
The Arknight setting is not a good time, not even remotely.
Yeah, everybody's got cancer all the time, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, speaking of, I just got reminded the other day, I need to sit down and watch Strange Fake.
It's just it's a prelude. It's not the whole story.
Yeah. But it is also hype,
They haven't-
so...
They announced that they were going to make the rest of it, but they haven't actually done anything yet. No media has been released
So what, it just
to show that it's still happening.
Ends halfway through the story?
It doesn't end halfway through the story. I told you it's a prelude.
Oh, okay. So it just leaves... Yeah, alright.
It doesn't tell you anything.
Doesn't tell you anything.
It's basically advertising.
I mean,
It's got some cool scenes and it's dramatic and all that, but it's not trying to tell a story. It's just trying to wet your whistle.
I don't mind that. Like, a little bit of just random hype is fun. You got Gilgamesh running around being Gilgamesh, so that's all you really need.
Yeah, he's Archer Gilgamesh this time as well, so he's at his most prickish.
Yes. Is there anything that doesn't have Gilgamesh in it?
He is one of the franchise's most popular characters, aside from Artoria.
Yeah.
Artoria stands always on Suicide Watch and FGO,
Yep.
since FGO has never had an Artoria story, and they never intend to, as far as I'm aware.
Just gotta keep baiting them, that's all you gotta do. Just keep towing them along.
Well, it's always a different Artoria, right?
Yes.
Like, in Avalon LaFay, it's Artoria Caster, who's a totally different person. In Camelot, it's the Lion King, who's a totally different person. In London, it's the King of Tyrants, who's a totally different person.
Why would you pull the bear?
Because the bear.
Also, your dash doesn't do damage, so you could totally have done that without actually punching it.
Yeah, I know, but you get in the habit of dash and punch. So yeah.
Strange Fake is it's good as far as preludes go, but it's also will rustle your jimmies if you want a story, because there's no knowing how long it's going to be until they finish.
Uh-huh. So basically, you watch it for the fight scenes.
Basically, yeah, and you're not going to get any resolution on that either.
Yeah. All right, no rush then.
No, I wouldn't go out of my way for it. Like it's one of those things that will become important later. It's not like the equivalent one for El Molloy Case Files was a complete story. Like it was self-contained, a mini story in an episode, and so that made a lot of sense and it worked independently. Whereas this one, while it's got decent production values and you get to see a lot of climactic stuff and cool things happening and introduced to a bunch of characters and so on and so forth, nevertheless, it's just going to leave you wanting in the end because it doesn't finish anything. It barely even starts.
I'll put it aside for when I just want to watch some brainless spectacle for a bit then.
Yeah, if you just have like a bit of time to fill, then it's worth watching.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just going to rustle your jimmies if you sit down for like a night of anime watching or whatever, and then you watch this one and be like, great. So now I've got that in my brain, and I don't get to find out what happens next until, whenever they decide to finally release the rest of the story.
Yeah, if they do.
They said they would, and they've never actually cancelled a project before, I don't think. But, yeah. It's sort of irritating that I don't know when it's coming out. I mean, they often delay these things. Like, it's pretty common for them to get delayed. They don't usually cancel them, but we don't really have any way of knowing until when is it delayed.
Yes.
But yeah, I haven't heard any news about it or seen any media about it lately, so I'm not quite sure whether they're still on schedule or what's going on in any respect.
Is that just a bunch of witchings?
And an intuition, but we got intuition. Right?
It's a camel.
It is a camel. I want to check the chest.
Open.
Burns coming.
Fine.
Burn.
What?
Oh,
where are you going?
All right.
Yeah, so I don't have anything else to talk about for my week really, because there's not really much going on around here right now.
All right. Might as well chug on forward. So, Ari, what you done?
My week was the tail end of the Hell March. So Monday and most of Tuesday were a total bust. Basically, I finally got to the end of taxes. It's done. It's over. I am free until the CPA inevitably sends me an email that needs me to stop what I'm doing and get them what they need. So I'm caught up pretty much because I was working at the same time and working late most days. But I got a few small things I need to do and a few annoying projects that are not my fault or the customer's fault, but they need dealing with nonetheless, and I don't want to dump that on the customer.
Are tax audits guaranteed, or only if they find an irregularity?
You have to set off a flag, and it has to be a pretty egregious flag, or you are randomly selected. So my objective is to do taxes well enough not to trigger the flag, and then hope to goodness we don't get audited, because if we do, that company's burned.
Because it's awesome.
Yeah, they just didn't keep records.
Well, usually, if you can keep your nose clean for about 7 years, you're usually in the clear, right?
Yeah, I just need to make it a few more for when it's on my full record-keeping system. And I have records, whereas the previous people that took care of it didn't. So yeah. That's pretty much work. It's been fairly standard at work, other than that. The opossum has decided to indulge my mother in her BS with my sister and wants to hire her. Or doesn't want to hire her, but he's going to.
Okay.
Why? You can't afford that. You can't afford to literally set fire to money.
Yeah, I know. I'm not paying they wanted me to pay her an egregious amount for what she was doing.
Which is nothing.
Yeah, basically. And the whole spiel she gave me was when I called her to try and find something for her to do. It was basically, oh, I just need a break from the drama at my office place where they were smoking crack in the bathroom and there was all kinds of drama with the girls. And I need to figure out a job I can do. And I've got a few options. And I just want to take a part-time job that lets me rest and take care of my health issues.
Okay.
And she mentions two contradictory thyroid issues to me. And I'm looking at her like, I don't believe you. Why are you wasting my time telling me this? Oh, you made
He
friends.
pulled everything.
Yeah.
Like, he pulled like 6 things, and I got aggro because I tried to keep him alive, which is more than he deserves.
Thank you. No, I set off a trap which happened to be underneath the mob I had to jump to.
I can see that. So, and she's like, oh, I've just got these thyroid issues that don't make any sense because they're contradictory. And,
Covered toes.
yeah. And
Covered
my
toes.
hips hurt and I need to get my medication sorted out. And I'm trying to get on disability, which is notoriously difficult in the US. And,
So basically, she's trying to become your mother.
yeah. And when he says that, he means the way my mother lives her life, not mother to me. My mother is a useless, doctor-addicted, pill-addicted blob that is rooted to her bed.
Hmm.
And I'm like, look, I can at least have you fill out the comments on submittal data. This crap ain't hard. It's just tedious. I just need you to go through and draw a bunch of boxes around what I tell you to on each job. And she's like, yeah, okay. And she's not really paying attention. She's just kind of going, yeah. And I'm just getting more and more frustrated the more I talk with her. It's just
you need to set up KPIs for her, and when she fails to meet them, sack her with cause.
Yeah, I've got I reserved the ability to fire her at any time. Like I could not get them to just outright say no. I tried really hard to get those 2 idiots not to do this, but my mother, her daughter is her favorite child. I am not the favorite child in my family. And
Well, you said that generally speaking, the daughter will always get to be put on a pedestal in the South.
yeah, it is true. So stupid blinded. But yeah. So she gets what she wants, basically. If she wants to steal money from the company for a few months to effectively do nothing, Mama works towards it and bullies the opossum into saying yes because the opossum's spine is made of spaghetti that's wet.
No, you need to set up KPIs for her that she has to meet, and if she fails to meet those KPIs, then get rid of her with cause, so that they can't whinge about it later.
Yeah,
so you can say, look, I set out these minimum things for her to do, and she did not even attempt to accomplish them because we all know that's what's going to happen, and so I can't afford to pay her because she didn't bring in any money.
Yeah, it's I'm working on something like that. I need to figure out what the heck I'm going to have her do first, because right now I do everything pretty much. I've got that ship righted and on course, but it's because I don't hand any responsibility off to anybody else.
Well, she can start by cleaning the bathroom.
Yeah, like at minimum, she has to actually show up for work, and she fought me on that too. She's like, I only want to show up 3 days for part-time. I'm like, okay, I'm paying you minimum wage the whole time, is what I'm thinking, because she never negotiated a price with me. That was her trying to send intermediaries to me to do that through my mother and through the opossum. I'm like, no, she can talk to me about her cost, and if she doesn't, she's getting minimum wage, which is like $15 in Georgia.
Yeah.
And I will aggressively track her hours.
That is an excessive minimum wage.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Our minimum wage isn't that. Most of my technicians are paid less than that.
Yeah, so she's going to show up and get her $300 a week or whatever, and call it there. And I'm just going to have to deal with her. I got to find something for her to do, and I'm not letting her stick around for more than for more than I can get away with. If I can get rid of her within a month or two, great. I'm doing it. I want her gone. I don't need somebody coming in and causing more problems and stress for me after I already sat down and rebuilt that whole gosh darn company from scratch. You have no idea how frustrating that is. Like, I put so much work into putting that company's back together and got it not just in the black, but doing fairly well now. And I can give myself a decent paycheck for it. I went MIA for over half a year just to sit down and work till bedtime, nonstop to right that ship. And figure out all kinds of things and gather all kinds of skills I didn't have before so I could assume all the responsibility. And then as soon as it's back to righted, the usual thing happens like it does with any of these type of enterprises. People see money and they come with their hands out. And because it's family and I'm not the CEO yet, I can't just say no.
Yeah.
It is so frustrating.
So, yeah.
I hate people like... Let me put it this way. I don't care if somebody is bad at something if they're willing to try. I don't care if somebody takes a while to learn things. I don't care if somebody doesn't have aptitude for something. As long as they're willing to keep trying and keep plugging away at it, I don't care how good they are. But my sister is one of those, based on what she's told me with her medical garbage, that is just looking for a way to quit life and give up. And that just chafes
And
me
also
so
receive
hard.
sympathy for doing so.
Yes. I have zero time for people like that. I hate the words "I can't" in general. I don't believe them, even when my friends tell me they can't. I just don't think it's true. Have you tried, is my response. Almost all the time. Or at least I'm thinking it. And so many people like my sister, are just not willing to even try. And they just want to do the minimum amount of work.
Well, I mean, this person is created by an experience of going through life realizing that they didn't need to, because there are enough people who would coddle them.
Yeah, the whole time I'm thinking, why don't you just kill yourself?
This is an upbringing problem.
Yeah, well, she was a princess in the South. Like, she gets what she wants. She wants to go to art school, come home with dyed hair, and still be the parents' favorite. Okay. Start spouting off all kinds of random garbage and taking my parents' money. They still pay for her insurance. Ostensibly, this is to pay for her medical bills in the meantime while she looks for a better job, but that's a lie. Because I know they cover her insurance.
Does she even look for jobs, or does she make her parents do that too?
She usually finds her jobs herself because she wants to work in some areas my parents A, know nothing about, and B, are super woke and my dad wouldn't go for it. The only upshot of this is a member of my family is going to have to sit around me much longer than they normally would have to. And so she's going to get raw, unfiltered Ari for however long she's over there. And that means she's going to get overdosed on red pills.
So it sounds like if you set her primary KPI as turn up, she's not even going to meet that. So
yeah, she is totally useless as a person. And
make sure that she has to record an accurate timesheet.
No, I'm gonna make one for her and make sure that she signs up.
A lot of family businesses don't bother with timesheets, but you really, really need to, because somebody will always take advantage.
Yeah, like I said weeks ago, I don't trust anybody, and I especially don't trust my sister. Oop, I forgot that thing's fat. You trouncing.
Oh boy, he's trouncing.
Oh Lord,
it doesn't matter to me because I'm a healer.
To the other side of the arena. Yeah. So yeah, that's a frustration I will be complaining about on the reg coming up, I'm sure. And yeah. anime and video games. Due to the nature of work and taxes the past little bit, I just in general didn't have much time for anything substantive. Poked a little bit at Neo 2 again, just to make a little bit more progress in that while I wait for something to come around that I want to play on my own. And just the big video game thing I did, other than the Final Fantasy XIV stuff for this patch, was to go and just bite the bullet and buy the stupid Magicite for Eureka. Because Eureka is painful. You'll notice a few quirks in my UI if you're paying real close attention that I'm not going to point out. All of that is because of Eureka. And I just want that place to be to reduce the pain from it as much as possible, basically. And by getting those 2 extra Magicite slots, I have 2 levels in defense for whatever mob type I'm setting my board to offensive against. What was that? Alter? I can alter. Alter. Afflu. Hang on, I gotta do the new floor set palm burning in rotation here.
Okay, that's right. I gotta fix up my
There we go.
my combos because I haven't actually set the combos up beyond level 35.
Yeah. So yeah. It's ran me. Or I'm not ever super rich, but I usually keep a pile of about 15 to 20 million laying around. Is what I like to stay at. So that in situations like this, if I decide to just buy my way out of a problem, I can do so with minimal effort. I'm coming. I was grabbing the chest the other direction. Oh, that's a dead end room. Why did I go in there?
Why did you go in there?
Oh, I'm taking some dudes for a walk. I thought there was a connecting point on the map. I wasn't paying attention. Because I'm talking, as usual. Walking and chewing bubblegum is hard. But yeah. By getting those 2 levels in defense, it lets me do a few things that let me interact with people less. Notably, I can pop stuff more easily when alone. So if I go in there at off-peak hours, I can solo pop some stuff and make some progress. If I just need something to grind on, it allows me to more easily survive boss mechanics which were previously lethal if I screwed them up, are now not. Which is a big deal in Eureka because unlike Baja, you lose experience points when you get whopped.
Yes.
So that means that you can de-level. It doesn't go till the bottom of your level. Once you're level capped, you can go back to level 59. So dying in Eureka is a big deal, and if nobody's around to res you, or you don't have a buddy to come res you, you're in trouble. So having the extra defense there for when I'm alone and I'm not partied with people is a very nice safety net that I just like having in my mind. So yeah, that made me destitute. I only had like 2 to 3 million left over after it, and so I kidnapped Ibu and drug him to Treasure Dungeons.
You kidnapped Ibu and you drugged him.
Yes.
Yeah, I drugged him to Treasure Dungeons with me. Got him buzzed on all that good gil. Ooh, there's some just pygmies in here. I'll kill those real quick.
They are worth a decent amount of cash, those treasure dungeons.
Yeah, it's the best way to just get a chunk of change fast. You can actually use Eureka to make money if you are so inclined. It's a little bit of a pain in the butt, but there's a fate that spawns on a very short timer, like 10-15 minute timer. That the Matryoshka Mimic. We finally got one.
Give me you. I'm a puncher.
The double Matryoshka Mimic.
Oh wow!
You're gone.
Okay, it's stopped.
Okay, he gave up.
Alright, enough of that.
So you can actually use the Bunny Faith there. It'll give you a little carrot. You mash the carrot over again. And you play hot or cold with the rabbit, and this you go far, far north, far south, immediately south, etc. with the rabbit, and it'll lead you to a spot with a treasure coffer in it. And the treasure coffer can be bronze, silver, or gold. If it's a bronze coffer, it's 10k gil immediately plus junk that you'll vendor. If it's silver, it's 25k gil immediately plus some junk you'll probably vendor, although there's a few things you can auction house for like 20k-ish. If it's gold, however, you get 100k gil immediately and a chance for some really valuable multi-million gil drops, like the item that lets you get the haste hat from one of the fates in Pagos. You need 6 of them, 6 different ones, and most of them come from gold chests and bunny fates.
So it is worth doing Eureka to get access to that, at least.
Yeah, it's in Pagos. There's one in every zone after Pagos, too. They all had useful rewards, although getting a gold chest is exceedingly rare. I've never got one. So yeah. Did a few of those to get my cash back to workable. And I'm back. Once my crap on the auction house sells, I'll be back to about 8 or 9 million.
Yep.
But yeah, I've recouped up to 5.6, and having those 2 Magicite has just made a huge difference already in the little bit I've done grinding with them. So yeah, that's been my project for the week, is recouping costs associated with making Eureka less painful. And yeah, it's going to run you about 15 to 20 million, depending on how aggressive you are at shopping between data centers and stuff with the Magicite items, because they're just rare. Everybody needs them if they're doing Eureka. Well, they don't need them, but they'll want them, so they'll probably be using them. And they're stupidly rare drops from very specific NMs, 2 of which have weather conditions, and 1 of which has a time condition.
Yeah. Thankfully, there's websites out there that will help you with all of that.
Yeah, just go to Universalis and look up the cheapest prices.
Yeah. It's not 100% accurate, but it's close enough.
Yeah, and making money in this game, you have to pay attention to make your money go positive usually, unless you're doing an activity that also happens to have gil as an accidental reward. Like Eureka Orthos has some drops from it, or or Baja if you're doing a lot of Dalradias while you're in Zadnor. Which sound. The worms? Sound.
Yeah. What about the Weimar campus?
Also sound, I believe.
Okay, because I was like, I'm sure I didn't stand in front of it.
Yeah. Insectoid mobs have a higher than average chance of being sound aggro. Ironically, there are a massive number of Hekdais in the game that are not site aggro.
Kind of weird, considering they're nothing but a big eyeball.
A bunch of eyeballs.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, that was part 1 of making Eureka easier. Next is to try and get some of the haste gear from Pagos, just so I can ensure gold fate rating easier, and I don't have to play a tank. Although, also with the Magicite, because I'm now able to pop stuff more freely, I can pop higher level stuff with fewer people and tank it. And this means I can call pull timers, which means I can set up a macro that calls a pull time of 28 with an addendum to say in shout chat if you're going to take longer to get there. And this stops a lot of the, okay, are we pulling yet?
Yeah.
Which is where you waste a lot of time in Eureka.
Everybody just stands around waiting for somebody else to decide when we're pulling.
Actually, yes.
But if I can play a tank with proper defense while still being in offense mode, I can not have to waste time spinning my Magicite.
It's like, spinning the Magicite's being.
Yeah, if you do exhaust your spins, you have to go back to base, and if you're a tank, you have to spin it more than everybody else, because some of the really hard-hitting mobs force you to flip to defense. But with 2 Magicite, the number of mobs that force you to flip to defense is much smaller. And even if you do have to flip to defense, you now have 2 ranks in offense. So you're not as gimp as you are otherwise.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna grab this chest real quick. So there's a lot of incentive to do it, but is the horde in that room? No. But it's just a colossal pain in the keister to farm them. It's not reasonable at all. It's something like a 2% drop off the specific NMs, and when you get so few attempts, and you have to, some of them have weather and time of day conditions. You're not going to get enough attempts to guarantee the ones you're looking for. So if you can get a few of them to reduce the cost, great. But otherwise, just go buy them. Just accept the cost you're gonna have to buy them, and any that you do get to drop are just gonna be cash in your pocket. Go towards recouping the cost you spent. Other than that, that's it for Vidya. For anime and manga, though, specifically manga, because this is relevant, I do have a little bit. So the new season of Shieldy Boy came out, and I like Shieldy Boy. The current arc they're going into is one I really enjoyed in the manga.
Isn't it a tournament arc?
No.
Okay, good.
I don't know. It still feels to me like it's overly driven by the retardedness of the three heroes.
Yeah, so this is the arc addressing that. The whole point of this arc is to address that.
You're gonna stove their heads in.
Because as utterly idiotic as they were before, they've sort of reached new levels of idiotic in this current arc.
Yeah, and you're going to see why they've gone crazy. And they're going to have to deal with all their hang-ups and problems as individual actual characters in this arc.
Because they've reached the point where they've become the utterly flanderized versions of themselves.
Yeah, and it's going to reach a crescendo, and then each one's going to have to deal with the problem. Like they've all got major shoes as individuals, and the story hasn't addressed it yet. This is the arc where they do it, and I thought it was really good in the manga.
The fact that since coming to this world, they've been idolized and pandered to the entire time has not helped.
Why are there still people in that setting who believe anything that comes out of Malty's mouth?
There might be a reason for that. I didn't get to the actual answer in the manga, but it was hinting towards Malty being special in when it comes to the way she is able to influence people.
Well, she's hero of the thought.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah. I went back to get caught up because you can't. Shield Hero is another one of those shows where there's a continuity. You have to really remember what happened before. Although less so than some shows, it still helps to go back and do a refresher. So I went back and had the Tortoise episodes on the other monitor to go through season 2 again, and I was like,
you have to look at the Tortoise.
Just glaze over the Tortoise.
I'm like, the Tortoise is really bad, but the story here, it feels like it's missing something. Like I don't remember it being this awkward in the way it paces its story. And so I went and read the manga one evening and just gave a quick skim read to give my brain a bit of a refresher on the arc and the arc that followed. And they cut a ton from the Spirit Tortoise. And I get why they did it. In the manga, the Spirit Tortoise arc goes on for way too long, and when I looked it up later, the author acknowledged that was a problem. He was still trying to get stuff set up for the rest of the story while he was writing it.
Well, what are they doing during most of that time?
You're doing a whole lot of character exploration about the people that are going to come into Naofumi's town and be part of the story, instead of them just popping up out of nowhere at the end of the arc, and setting up the mechanics of how things like the spirit animals work in the world, which are also going to be important later, and stuff like prepping for the vassal heroes and establishing them much better than they do in the.
You say much better. They didn't establish them at all. They just said, "Oh, and there's vassal heroes."
Yeah. So that's where all that happens, and then you go to after they beat the turtle, and all that's set up and resolved, they go to Glass's world to deal with the crazy man again. And in Glass's world, this is where they do all the vassal heroes setup. And in the anime, the vassal hero concept is introduced barely, at all.
But it's introduced by having them suddenly on stage.
Yeah,
It's like they're suddenly there.
And so you're not prepped for it to show up and become a thing at all. And you get there and you get to see a lot of the payoffs in Glasses World. They did cut a good bit of Glasses World out, but Glasses arc makes much more sense and feels much better when you've got the vassal heroes already set up. So that little sub arc follows a fairly similar narrative, although they do cut some. And they just cut the entirety of the reconstruction arc from the anime, where Naofumi has to build his town.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember seeing his town of like, was this town that big before? I don't remember that.
No, he had to sit there and rebuild it, and this is a big arc of him going around and finding people to help, and people deciding to take up residence there. Like, that's a whole story. And they just cut it, and all these characters are suddenly relevant in the anime?
Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, I did read ahead on the anime and the manga at the time. Back in season 1, but I kind of tapped out about the point where Mama Bird turns up.
Yeah, it's
Mama Bird was hard.
I don't know what you mean by Mama Bird the Phoenix.
The Philolial Queen.
Yeah, the giant
Victoria.
Yeah, her.
Yeah, her stick is explained a little better in the light novel and manga, but it's she's meant to be vague at that point.
Yeah. It was vague to the point of frustration.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with her because she's meant to be vague at that point and be foreshadowing for what's coming and get you a few answers. I don't have a problem
with her because the other problems are much bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does what she's supposed to there. And it's just, they did not handle the transition from season 1 to 2 well at all. And they tried to rush what they knew was a pretty bad arc, but the stuff they cut to rush it is needed later to really establish concepts like the vassal weapons and the people in Naofumi's town, and it just ain't there.
Yeah, you can't skip too much, otherwise you lose important things.
But they felt the need to have an entire recap episode that reframes the previous arc as the season finale, with Os telling Raphtalia and Philo about sex.
What?
Yeah, that's one of the gags in there.
Okay.
I mean, to be fair, they had odd childhoods.
There's
lots of information that wouldn't have been conveyed to them.
So yeah, that's Shieldy Boy. Did I watch any other anime? I'm caught up on Jujutsu Kaisen now. And as far as the anime goes, I have not read ahead on this one. Although the current arc is one I see mentioned a lot in YouTube video headlines when it gets my recommended. And then people really seem to really like it. So we'll see where it's going with this at the end of the arc.
Which boss was this?
Kill boss. Kill. And don't worry about the bombs. I'll deal with the bombs.
Okay, because last time you got it wrong, blew yourself up.
I forgot last time.
Don't do that, and we're good. With this classes, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing with meditation.
It's just an out of combat button. Like if the boss is doing a cinematic attack that takes them out of the arena where they gotta fly around for a while, it's just to hold your it's just to hold your juice so that you don't.
It's what you do instead of throwing javelins.
Oh, great.
Yeah, because you don't have a ranged attack to occupy your time while the boss is out of range.
So you just
I stand there and power up.
You do the Goku thing.
Yeah, because otherwise it's incredibly awkward to press it during combat, and it just messes everything up.
Well, you should never be pressing it during actual combat. If you can be doing anything other than meditation, then you don't do meditation.
Yeah. If you can spam boot shine, it's better than using meditation.
I don't, because it's incredibly awkward. If it was off global cooldown, maybe, but yeah.
How he spawned under the boss. These guys have a fixed spawn position, but I don't ever remember what it is until I'm done it. I've done it. There we go.
You done dude it?
Yep. Now I'll let my strength wear out. I'm like, man, this bomb's taking a while to fall over.
Okay, he's dead.
So yeah. I'm liking JJK. Artifacts, finally.
Nice.
I didn't get anything. Still got none so far today.
Got a couple of monk levels at least.
Yep. All right. And that's all I got for my week.
In that
It's,
case, yeah, we should take a break.
Oh,
Yep.
good. I desperately need one.
And then
Yeah, I
we'll
need
come
one
back
too.
with the Blurskins.
So yeah. All right. Here's some music, folks. We will be right back. And we're back.
Yes, we are.
Have we got Poms for the Lord?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. So, a thing happened this week, and that thing was a BlizzCon. BlizzCon, for the first time in a couple of years now, they've actually had people in the studio or in the crowd this time.
Mm-hmm.
And also the first one under the new Microsoft ownership. So, I watched the opening ceremony. Well, for my own amusement than anything else, but I wasn't really disappointed. Well, actually, I was, but, in a completely expected ways.
I always find them to be, really sort of cringe and awkward.
Yes.
In a way, like, there's no reason, there's no reason prima facie that Yoshi P should not be the same as them. But Yoshi P doesn't ever give off the impression of sort of like cringe awkwardness.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that he shows up dressed as a character, and yet he's still less cringe and awkward than the Blizzard staff. Like, why is that? I don't even understand.
Yeah, I think Yoshi P actually wants to be there. So we'll go through the opening ceremony really quick, and then we'll chew on what they've actually announced. So, first moment of cringe was, of course, the awkward silence that got applauded. So,
What was it following?
Absolutely nothing, really. He kind of just stopped mid-sentence. I forget who was actually talking because he didn't say anything of worth. But he stopped mid-sentence just to awkwardly stumble about, and that got a cheer. So, make of that what you will.
It means they had a signboard out there that
Somebody's holding up the Jeb request.
Yes.
Yeah. Somebody was holding up the please clap, and they didn't know if it was a please clap time or not.
Yeah, I imagine that sign having an incredibly desperate font. The fact that they called for a cheer on Diablo 4 and like 3 people cheered. You had the announcements for which they announced a bunch of stuff for Diablo 4, but none of it seemed to indicate that they were going to change anything about what they're currently doing with the game. Ditto for Overwatch, where they announced a new hero who would actually be kind of cool if they didn't just steal Disney's homework and strap a couple of miniguns to it.
I
mean, that's Overwatch in a nutshell.
Overwatch has literally no ideas.
Yeah.
None. Zero.
So
it is the most worthless IP ever created.
Yeah. So they just stole Maui from Moana, stuck a couple of miniguns on him, and called him Samoan. There's your new character.
Yeah, I've stopped looking at Overwatch as a video game. The only reason I gave it a little bit of credence initially was because it was a Blizzard game.
The only entertainment that one can feasibly extract from Overwatch is by looking at its ratings on Steam.
Yes, which are still overwhelmingly negative. And honestly, reading the reviews is a fun time in and of itself.
Based on the internet, the Coomers seem to get a kick out of it.
Oh, of course they do.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not really the game that they're interested in, though. It's more sort of Steam filmmaker.
Rule 34 exists, folks.
Yeah, it just seems to be especially pervasive with Overwatch for some reason.
Yeah. Also Renamon, but let's not talk about that either.
I don't want to know about Renamon.
No, you do not want to know about Renamon. Or Renamon. What did she do to deserve that?
She was too furry, basically.
Yeah.
She fell in the furry strike zone.
So yeah, and the fact that you had the Overwatch announcement and the people who were up announcement had the status present of my pastor. So, they then bought out WoW, and they bought out Chris Metzen, who was actually happy to be there by the look of it. Someone's got to be.
Well, I don't know. Like he's generally more energetic than most of the rest of the Blizzard staff, but to me, he came off. Insincere would be being too mean, but it came off like he was like consciously being like a pro wrestling hype man.
Oh yeah,
for Blizzard,
yeah.
and it was just a bit conspicuous. It was not. It didn't feel quite as natural.
I think most times he does that. Everyone else up on stage is kind of hamming it up a bit and carrying on, but everyone leading up to his performance this time was, here is some grass.
Every member of staff left at Blizzard other than him is made out of Soylent.
Yes, they just have no presence. So when he gets up and he's hyping and carrying on, it seems completely out of place. So yeah, we don't really give a toss about Diablo. We don't give a toss about Overwatch because they've been thoroughly ruined.
I am the only curiosity I have about Diablo is have they managed to find an even bigger way to shit the bed?
They're launching an expansion. So in addition,
Yeah, but does that come with like 3 more battle passes or something?
probably it comes with two new classes and a brand new class, and I'm waiting to see what that's going to be. They're saying it's something they've never done in Diablo before, and I have a feeling it's going to be the Banker or something. Diablo 4 did not need to be that bad, and it's awful. I played it, and I was thoroughly bored the entire time.
Where is this Floors BGM from?
I have the sound off, so
Yeah. All right.
It's like a riff on the Addams Family theme.
Halkymana theme?
I don't remember the Halkymana theme.
No, not Halkymana. It's
it's the one of the themes they played during some of the. Didn't they play this during that the instance with the Gruffs?
yeah,
it
they
could be the
did.
Halloween one.
Yeah,
We are on the Undead floor set, so
yeah, it makes sense. So yeah. Anyway, World of Warcraft. They announced a whole bunch of stuff, which
They are. Well, you could look at it like that. You would be entitled to look at it like that. But I viewed it as them announcing a whole bunch of nothing.
oh
Like
yeah,
what they announced, and this is to their credit. What they announced was that they actually have a creative director.
yes, and they
There's
actually
somebody
have a
in charge of
plan.
narrative now. Well, I don't know that that's necessarily true
It's
because
more
they
than-
didn't offer any evidence that they had a plan.
it's
they
more
just
of a
said
plan
that they
had
did.
before.
Yeah, well, they have the intent to have a plan.
Yes,
That's I think that's what they announced. That's actually substantive because you've got to look past all the flim flam, right? Because what they want you to believe is that they have a plan, but they at no point claimed to have a plan. They just have the plan to have a plan. They have 3 titles to serve as keywords, and one of them is actually in development, and the other 2 are just ideas.
yeah, it's a very basic story outlines. The first one is dealing with that world egg concept, which got thrown out and then ignored. Also, the giant sword that got thrown out and ignored.
Well, yeah, they're doing a roundup of greatest hits of dangling plot threads that we can actually do something with.
Yeah, because there's a lot of those. Like, yeah, there's a gigantic ass sword sticking out of the planet, and we're just not paying attention to that. We're just going to.
Well, the thing is, it's very obvious if you because I kept up with World of Warcraft consistently over the course of our time not playing it. Like I've, out of morbid fascination, continued to follow the developments in some detail. I haven't actually followed up with the story, but the way that it's been put together, and it's been abundantly obvious that they have had no narrative director worthy of the name, or at all, since about Battle for Azeroth. There's just been nobody in charge of ensuring that there's anything that holds the plot together.
Yeah.
And they actually subdivide their team like that. They subdivide their team such that there is nobody who knows the whole story during development. They all develop their chunk of the story and then try and stitch them together after the fact.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is completely incoherent.
Yeah. And beyond that, I think the rest of the writing has been purely reactionary to their own mistakes. It's like they've written themselves into a corner over here. We've got to react and address that.
And yet that they don't take responsibility for it either. They try and pretend like it was always intended to be that way.
Yes. So the fact that they even had the intention of pretending that they've got an actual narrative plan is a step forward. Oh, you found friends.
I just pulled like 3 runs worth of dudes and brought them back as chickens. We got all these witchings, might as well use them.
We haven't been using them. We really should be. Yeah. There we go. So yeah, first expansion is the War Within, dealing with the whole world egg thing, which got thrown up and ignored. You're going underground,
Or at least that's people were presuming that that's the case because we don't know what silly bullcrap spin they're going to try and put on it this time.
Well, yeah, that's what they hinted at, but you know how vague they get about these things. But yeah, you're going into the planet's core and exploring down there.
What? There's a glowing thing at the center of the world that whispers to people,
There's
and
several
they have
glowing
visions
things.
and things.
Old Gods did it.
It's almost like they're stealing from somebody else's playbook again.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically what they're doing is announcing that now that Metzen is back on board, he's probably read them the riot act on the idea that they were running with before, which is that you don't need to have a narrative, because realistically that was the problem, right? They didn't have a narrative, and that's why they got such blowback when they made all those windy claims when Shadowlands came out about how this was supposed to be the end of a saga that they never started telling, and they were suddenly telling the end of it. There was no storyline there was no narrative there, and there was no, not only was there no narrative, but there was no attempt to have one. They had never planned for one to be there, and what Metzen is functionally doing is he's giving them a lecture on the fact that you can't expect to have a narrative arc without planning out a narrative arc.
Yeah.
But they don't happen on their own. These aren't self-sown vegetables. Like, that's not how it goes.
It's also
And so everybody's
compounded by the fact that half of the actual important narrative stuff isn't even in the game.
And the thing is that a lot of this, I have no doubt, stems from the fact that everybody was paying attention to Final Fantasy XIV, and the fact that they had this contiguous story that has been running for so long because they had sort of planned out the plot beats for it. And you can see very visibly in Final Fantasy XIV where the plan ends, and the plan ends at 6.0, which is why the post 6.0 content has been so iffy.
It's been like
because that stuff is not part of the overarching plan. It's its own thing, which is why it feels like a WoW storyline. So what Metzen is doing is basically saying, if you want to have a narrative that runs from expansion to expansion because you want to tell a larger story, you can't just deploy that in one expansion and then expect to somehow pick it up in the next one. Because there's an awful lot of those people aren't going to be at the studio anymore by the time you do that. Because remember, a lot of the decisions that they made, Battle for Azeroth and Shadowlands, were because, what's his name, the guy they fired, promised them that he had a plan in mind. And then they got rid of him. So whether or not he did have a plan, nobody knows and nobody ever will. So they really screwed themselves there.
Yeah.
Like, it could have been that he did have a plan. Like, there's no way of knowing for sure, and it would be out of character for Blizzard to do any kind of solid planning. And the guy himself was kind of a lunatic. But they got rid of their plan guy and then expected that things would still unfold normally, which shows a staggering degree of storytelling incompetence. And what Metzen is ushering in is the idea that, no, you need to have a structure to tell a structured story. You can't just tell a chapter and then have somebody else show up and tell the next chapter, because then you're basically getting a series of guest episodes.
It was actually worse than that. It was like 3 chapters being told at once by 3 completely different people who didn't talk to each other.
Well, yeah, because there was no plan. How could they?
Yeah.
It was not possible for them to successfully pull off what they were doing, even if they were skilled storytellers and they had real competence at doing what they were doing, and they didn't make all the gaffes that they made, and they didn't create all the continuity snarls that they did. It still would have been impossible for them to succeed because they didn't have a plan and there was nobody coordinating it. It was a mess from the outset, and it was guaranteed to be a mess. So when they announce 3 chunks of story back to back, there are two interpretations in my opinion. Interpretation 1 is that they're actually planning to tell a story that takes place over multiple arcs, because they are basically ripping off the Marvel playbook, because everybody in the West is doing that now.
Yes.
The only thing that anybody can ever think about is cape shit now, especially if they live in one of the left-wing bastions where everybody worships Hollywood. The other option is that they're just going to halve the content, double the release cadence, so they can make twice as much money off the same work.
Possible. So I'm inclined to lean at least a little bit towards the former, because unlike a lot of the other people who've been working in WoW and been the face of WoW for the longest time, Benson actually cares. Well, at least he did.
Yeah, but he's not in charge of making that decision.
Yeah, unfortunately,
that's
no.
the bean counters.
That's the bean
Bean counters are going to make that. Are going to make that decision.
Just because Bobby is off ski doesn't mean that suddenly they're going to be making ethical business decisions or anything.
No, it's going to be a couple of expansions before we see the fallout for that happening anyway, I think.
Yeah, Bobby has had time to get people on board with the cynical Dosh plans.
Yeah.
But the thing is that Blizzard have always, at every point in their history, claimed that they have 3 expansions ahead planned already.
Which, even though
they say this every time they're asked. They've never extended any evidence of this, and it is demonstrable from the content they put out that it is not true. So this whole thing is an exercise in attempting to show that there is at least one person at Blizzard who knows how to tell a story still, or at least has a rough idea of what is necessary to do so.
Yeah. You got a lot of skepticism to cut through here, Blizzard.
I think that they did a really poor job of it too.
Oh yeah.
I think that the beats that they hit are not the right ones, but first of all, get back to your introduction.
Shit, that's where we were, weren't we? So yeah, they announced 3 expansions, which we've just touched on there. A bunch of mechanic updates. Few ones that are going to be very welcome to the players. Things like combining things like rep and stuff across your account.
You mean the things that were suggested expansions ago that they refused to do because they were more interested in getting engagement hours?
Yes, those ones. So it does look like it's going to be kind of opt-in which characters can benefit from this, so that option still exists, I guess.
It smacks of they are shoring this up now that it has become a definitive deal breaker for people.
Yeah.
They were willing to squeeze people for all of the engagement hours that they could get, right up until the point it was started to make people quit.
Yeah. The screen they showed for the warband showed spaces for 4 characters on it. And they had 4 characters in there. It might be that they could put more characters into a warband, but I suspect that's not the case. But we'll see. I want to be wrong about that one and have there be no limits, but yeah.
The thing is that Blizzard's tactic has always been, has been for the past several expansions, to just give people just barely enough that they don't cancel their sub.
Yep.
They don't ever want people to be happy. They don't want people to have enough, because if you fill people up, you won't be able to announce anything next BlizzCon.
Yep. Let's go up. Alright, we don't need newest incarnation of Torghast, because that's basically all they...
It's not like Torghast was a bad idea.
Yeah.
It was just the most miserable execution that one could conceive of a good idea. Sort of like variant dungeons in FF14.
They've been kind of reiterating that idea over the last couple of expansions, so Delves is the newest incarnation of that. We'll see. It didn't introduce any new classes. They did introduce a new race, but it goes into the shared race bucket like the Pandaren. So if you want a stony dwarf, there you go. As far as classes go, they did announce hero specs. Basically, how it works is every regular spec gets access to 2 sub-specs, one based on their own spec and another one based on one of the other ones. So you can either kind of double down on something from you that you're already doing, or pull something from elsewhere a little bit. It's basically kind of like, we'll just tack this onto the end of the talent tree, by the look of it.
I don't understand how this is not essentially just another talent.
It is just another talent.
Like Mortal Strike did that.
Yeah. So it might focus on Mortal Strike or something.
No, I mean, like, literally, at the bottom of your talent tree was the button called Mortal Strike that you got in vanilla. And that was pretty gameplay defining. It changed the total way you play.
Yep.
So what they've said is they've had in Capstone talents again.
Yeah.
They're making it out to be a new thing, but it already existed.
It already exists. You just get to pick between 2 trees.
Like, it would be more interesting if it had green fire attached to it. Like, if it had some kind of aesthetic thing. That would be that would make it significantly more interesting, even though it's entirely aesthetic. But the reality is that they are just announcing talents again.
Yeah,
that's all. That's why I say you've got to, when it comes to BlizzCon, you always have to look past all the flim flam and find out what they've actually said that they're doing, not what they've tried to imply that they're doing. Because what they're implying they're doing is a paradigm shift in class design. What they're actually doing is introducing another talent row.
Yeah, it's just another talent row.
What they're actually doing is reverting to having Capstone talents. That's it.
Let's see,
Except you can only have 2 talents instead of 3 to choose from.
Oh, right, they killed talent trees entirely. This shows you how much I keep up with WoW.
They brought them back.
They brought them back.
Because people were so deeply unhappy.
As opposed to the stick. The talent stick.
The talent stick.
But let me see. Some nodes are passive. Most nodes are passive from the node. Some nodes have customizable choices, which was usually a choice between do more damage or do more healing, from what I can tell.
Hey, look at that. We got, like, 300, 400 green tombstones in an hour.
Looky-doo!
Ain't that in a couple hours? Ain't that nifty? If only there was another piece of content that rewarded at that output and was current.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just hero talents. It's just an extra talent tree. Is all that is.
Yeah, this is the most frustrating thing with Blizzard to me is that they aren't even reinventing the wheel. They're just taking somebody else's wheel or getting a wheel out of their storeroom and acting like it's a new product.
Yeah, there was about half an hour there where people were saying hero talents. That sounds like Path of the Titans. No.
People say that every time they announce any feature.
They do.
Say, it's Path of the Titans. No, it's not Path of the Titans. It's not.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be tangentially related to talents. I've seen it used as an analogy for literally any system mechanic gets compared to Path of the Titans. Some idiot will say it.
Yeah. If there was no restrictions on the talent pools, then yeah, maybe you could call it that. But it's heavily restricted, so.
Yeah, it's. Well, I'm not just looking to be down on them because I'm bitter towards them, although I am down on them because I'm bitter towards them. It's just the fact that they're pretending it's something that's not so.
Yeah, like
they're pretending that they're doing something really meaningful and significant that will change the way people interact with the game in a positive way, but they aren't.
They did mention a system for Classic, which involves messing with the role that your class can perform. This can't do that. If this could do that and actually let you start messing with your role, then I think we'd be onto something. But no, it's just another talent tree, and it's just a bunch more passives, maybe an active here and there.
Man, remember Shaman tanks?
I remember Shaman tanks.
I tank Shadowfang Keep on my Shaman.
Yeah. Like this Discovery Path thing that they hinted at for Classic and didn't elaborate on, they did specifically say you can mess with your class role.
Oh, we got to restock on palms because we're in the post 100s.
We're in that place where things do damage.
So yeah, that it's just it's a bit of a hype, but it's kind of a big nothing burger.
Yeah, well, that's going to be most of this BlizzCon, because this BlizzCon is announcing announcements to say yes, we've rewrited the ship, And okay, you could say that.
But this is just a desperate rearguard action not to shed players at a ridiculous pace.
Yeah.
Like the reality is that faith in Blizzard's ability to generate compelling content has never been lower, and they need to prevent people from just signing off once and for all.
To keep the analogy
And there's
going,
a lot of people who have their finger on the trigger for that.
oh yeah, there's a bunch of people out there who are just playing it out of habit. Yeah, to keep the analogy going, they are trying to right the ship, but the problem is that ship is still at the ocean floor, so you got some work to do.
It's like, congratulations, you're now upright at the bottom of the ocean.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of things, like the way the community interacts with people, are just dead. Like you
Well,
can't revive that.
Even if you sacrifice that, even if you aren't interested in that, WoW is still a terrible game. It's just strictly viewed as a game. And when you disregard community, when you disregard any of the stuff of the MMO experience, and just look at it as a game and what it's attempting to do and whether it successfully does it, it's not. It doesn't successfully do anything that it attempts. It's a failure of design, fundamentally. Like, they've improved some things in Dragonflight, but I mean, it's not a Pac-Man arcade machine. People have to want to play the game because they feel engaged with the substance of the game itself, not just the mechanics. It's like isn't that thing that you famously like to say about that guy on the MVC design team?
Oh yeah, the one where Combo Fiend says characters are just functions.
Yeah.
Characters are not just functions. People play World of Warcraft because they're engaged with the thing that is World of Warcraft. If they're not, in lieu of just being dragged in there by their friends, like, people stay without their friends forcing them to stay when they're engaged with the experience of World of Warcraft itself. And that experience has been totally incoherent for several expansions now. There's nothing holding people in place because they're not engaged with it. And announcing three expansions is their attempt to signal that we will treat with respect to your investment of time for several forthcoming expansions. You don't have to wonder whether we're going to completely shit the bed every year and a half to 2 years.
Yes. But just shit the
they
bed
have
3 times all at once.
Yeah, they've demonstrated. Okay, we actually thought about the endpoint of this ahead of time. However, hang on, where's safety?
Yeah, but people want that feeling of actually going somewhere for an extended period of time. They're actually journeying somewhere, and World of Warcraft just doesn't provide that currently because it's just like, oh well, this is just going to be one discrete theme park ride until we reach the end of the ride, and then it will be over.
That, they did actually announce the settings for the 3 expansions. The first one is Core of the World. Second one is Back in the Old World, and the third one is Northrend.
Well, I mean, it's invariable that they're going to have distinct settings, but the sense of continuity between them is what will keep people playing, rather than just treating it like a discrete game where you play the game until the end and then it's over, because that's where they're stuck with now. Like, nobody ever wants to go back to Shadowlands, and like, the only reason anybody would go to Shadowlands is simply because the speed of leveling there is probably enhanced.
I think that's where the default leveling area is now.
Yeah. So, but if you think about it, there's no reason to do that content.
No.
Because it's not connected to anything, and everybody hates it because it just introduces a whole bunch of characters as important when you've got no reason to believe that they are.
For dumb reasons.
Like, despite the fact that it was written to be extremely narrative driven, like that was their intent, it ended up being less narrative driven than the freeform vanilla was. Because within vanilla, you found story threads that you could pull on and follow around the world. There was no organized way to proceed through them, but you could find them and follow them, and you could see how they progressed and resolved. And those were, competently assembled for what they were back in the more early and primitive form of the game. And Shadowlands is just a demonstration of this discrete packaged story which doesn't relate to anything before or after, but they will desperately attempt to convince you that it is, and it feels very dishonest. And that's really the problem, is that people never feel like they got what they signed up for with World of Warcraft. It always ends up being a disappointment because they've promised more than they have the competence to deliver. And so now they're engaged in this exercise of trying to win people back by promising the sun, the moon, and the stars to them. And they are cashing in Metzen's credibility in order to do this, and he has some credibility. But the thing is, I don't think they've done a very good job this time. And I think that the exemplar of it really is the cinematic that they showed off.
Manduin standing in the desert in full plate armor.
You're just looking at the most superficial aspect of it. That's not
I just wanted
issue.
to make fun of that point.
The issue with it is that cinematic is fundamentally incapable of engaging somebody who is not already engaged.
Oh yeah. It's just two people standing in the desert talking.
It is a work of art from a technical perspective.
Yes.
Like, the illustration is excellent, the design is excellent, this level of execution of the CG is excellent. They managed to just skirt around the uncanny valley just enough that it doesn't make you feel uncomfortable to look at the characters. But it's a story about a character who people were once attached to and then became Green Jesus and then disappeared from the plot. And a story about a character who nobody really got a chance to attach to, but now he's here, he's emo, and people don't really recognise this person because he disappeared from the plot for an extended period of time for no reason.
Now he's back and angsting.
Like, Anduin's issues needed to be taken care of right away after Shadowlands.
Yes.
It doesn't make sense to delay it. And now you've got, this yet another ambiguous looming threat is being threatened. So they've set up something which is very compelling to people who already are in love with these characters and hang on their every word. But for the person who left in early Shadowlands or in early BFA because it was garbage, it's just going to be like, well, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Because, like, I remember, like, let's say you're playing at the end of Legion, it's like, well, okay, stuff happened, and there's a sword, and why are they having this angsty conversation? Why am I being treated like I understand the emotional depth of what's going on here? Because the only place that emotional depth exists is in the writer's head. It's trading on something that has been done very poorly in game, which is storytelling. And that is not the direction you wanted to go. Like, you need to bring people back with the pulp fantasy that it used to have, right? Because that used to be what they leaned on. And I think that you can see a sort of interesting comparison if you look at cinematic trailers for FF14 alongside cinematic trailers for WoW. WoW leads off with like raw pulp fantasy action, right? It's like they're presenting to you a world in the vanilla one and in the Burning Crusade one. They're showcasing what a cool place. Don't you want to come and adventure here? That's what they're saying to you, right? And then when they do Wrath of the Lich King, they are trading on Frozen Throne, right? You all remember Frozen Throne, right? Because at this stage, everybody playing WoW is basically a Warcraft fan still. You remember Frozen Throne, right? You remember Arthas, right? Then they put him front and center and look, we're going to complete the story. We're going to show you what happens to Arthas in the end, what happens after all of that. So they can trade on that. Then you hit Cataclysm and things start to get iffy. But they're still more or less doing what they're doing before because they're trading on fan service, right? So they show you the destruction of various places that if you play World of Warcraft, you know, right? But it's not going to draw in any new people because it depends entirely on your previous experience. So again, like for Frozen Throne, for Wrath of the Lich King, they are trading a little bit on nostalgia. Then Pandaland happens, and they realise, okay, well, we need a sort of a reboot because Cataclysm ended with a damp squib because we got to up ourselves with our storyline and nobody understood what was going on, and then you had a real weird boss fight that nobody liked at the end, and so on and so forth. So let's reboot, and we'll copy Pixar since that's the in thing, and we'll do Pandas.
Yeah.
And while it had received mixed reception, in the end it got off to a good thing because they had to sell it as a completely new idea. So rather than trading on something people already knew, they went back to the old formula. But after that, everything started to fall apart. And more, they came to trade on, you already know these people, you're already invested in the story, and we're going to try and trade on that.
Yeah.
And so you end up with, emotional diary entries from Varian Rin, and you end up with, like, Sylvanas having a dramatic face-off against Bolvar, who everybody who isn't a WoW fan has forgotten about because he's done nothing but sit on his chair. Like, there's lots of stuff like that just doesn't strike a chord with anybody. It doesn't scream that you're part of this, or you could be part of this. It screams that this is an episode in a story that is happening somewhere else that you are entirely adjunct to and not really that important to.
Yeah, like there were a few they tried to have both ways, like Battle for Azeroth comes to mind particularly because you had this massive war, but then you also had this whole thing with Saurfang and Zappy.
If you didn't care about Saurfang, if you weren't part of that early WoW meme culture, Saurfang doesn't. Yeah, Saurfang doesn't have any cachet with you. He's just like he looks the same as an Orgrimmar guard throughout most of the game's history. There's no hook there. Now, if you compare it to the way Final Fantasy XIV does it, every single one of those, apart from to some extent the first one, well, not the first one, technically the second one, because the first one is a montage of various adventuring. The second one is answers, and that's designed to tell a story that bridges 1.0 and 2.0 for the sake of the people that are involved in 1.0 already, and as a magnum opus sort of presentation to draw the interest of people who weren't involved without excluding them, because of course it comes to an end. Answers comes to an end, and it's a new world with people beginning a fresh adventure. So people aren't marginalised by that. They show, well, this world has this rich history, and now you can become involved in this new world after the fact. Then every single one after that is a showcase of both peoples and places you'll recognise, but doesn't lean heavily on you knowing every little detail of their backstory. Like when they'll show you Shola, but they don't expect you to know that, oh well, the girl who teaches you summoning magic at Upkalu Falls is her sister, they're from the same tribe and they have the same father and stuff. Like, they don't care if you have that level of detail. It's not necessary. It's just, oh, there's this cat girl and she's like being a girl boss or whatever. Like, that's the absolute extent of her character that you need to know.
Yeah.
And every single cinematic is like this. The player character is front and center, and he does something badass in a ridiculously anime fashion because they know their audience.
Yeah.
Like they're serving the advertising function of an opening cinematic to hype people for the game. I don't think that anybody who has dropped out of WoW for 2 expansions will get hyped by the cinematic that they showed off at BlizzCon.
No.
I can't imagine that scenario.
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head. With Final Fantasy, they've got a massive hook just have it with Meteor, with the substitute player character, because you can see, like, this is what you could be doing.
Yeah, that's you. You're going to be in that position. Yeah. You're going to be the guy who changes classes all the time. You're going to be the warrior of light. You're going to be the warrior of darkness, as the case may be. You're going to be doing all of these cool things and fighting all these enemies and having these dramatic anime moments where you and Xenos both go at each other with katanas, and then you do the freeze frame at the end and everything goes poof.
Yeah.
Like, that's you. You get to be that person.
They actually follow through on that. You do get to do that.
Yeah, the promise is kept. Promises made in World of Warcraft are never kept.
Yeah, whereas like this,
that's like
expansion, it's like you're not anywhere in sight. Here's just 2 people talking in a desert. There you go.
Where are you going, Fern? Where are you going, Fern? Where are you going, Fern?
That's the one continuous thread from New World of Warcraft: is promises are never kept. Promises are always made and never kept. That's like the oldest, longest running forum comment in World of Warcraft is, you promised X but didn't deliver. And then they will follow that with a litany of excuses of how, well, actually they never really promised, and then they will launch the next BlizzCon with saying, hey, we're going to do this thing that we promised. We're hoping you forgot about it by now so that we can act like it was all our idea.
My favorite are the ones that are like when they do stuff they said they weren't going to do.
Oh, yes.
Like, remember cross PvP, PvE transfers across servers? Oh, no, we're never going to do that.
Oh, yeah, they're totally doing that.
Isn't like Battlegrounds like faction mix now or something?
Yeah, I think they've basically completely torn down the line between factions these days.
Yeah, I heard there's PvE content that's cross-faction now.
Yeah,
I think you could have done that if you had come at it honest. I think,
hang on, what have I
rather
done
than
here?
pretending.
Fern, the crap here hits hard.
Yeah,
you can't run off by yourself and do whatever you want. This is not the first 100 layers.
Yeah, this is what happens when I'm looking at 2 screens at once.
And we have Gloom.
You could have come at it honest and done a story arc where the factions break down, but instead they've tried to maintain the fig leaf of factions while breaking it down in every meaningful way, so that it ends up feeling dishonest. And that's really the issue. Promises broken, dishonesty. People won't trust you or your game because you break their trust routinely.
Yeah, and this has been a running thread with just in the West in general, is just people seem to be okay with just lying to you or just not keeping their promises. And like this is just and they will do it in the most cynical, self-interested, fully conscious way possible. And just not care. It's like a minor thing to them at most.
Yeah, it's just treated like, oh well, it's just something that happens. It's just a force of nature, like the tides. No, you chose to say one thing and then do another. Like that was a decision you made. If you just said, oh well, I mean, I thought that, but then I changed my mind, and here's the reason why, a lot more people would be willing to accept it. But no, instead you've got to act like, no, it was always this way, and you're the one who's mad. I mean, there's a reason why the much abused term gaslighting has become so popular in modern culture, and it's because everybody is familiar with that vibe of people being dishonest and then not coming by their dishonesty honestly, acting like it was always the case.
It's your fault you're mad.
There's something wrong with you because you are perceiving the failure of me to deliver on what I said I would, or whatever. Like that's something wrong with you. And Blizzard has been abusing that line constantly. Like there's always the players. Like the meme's been going around. I linked it in show chat of like the cinematic is just it's a psyop from WoW where Anduin is like saying, oh well, I want to go and hide out in the desert, and Thrall is like, oh you don't get to choose, sort of thing, and that's why I'm here. Well, Anduin's the one who says it, but he says it with a great deal of bitterness, obviously. It's like the meme that's been going around is that this is a psyop from Blizzard saying you don't get to choose to quit. You don't get to choose to not pay your sub. Because it's your fault. You're running away. It's not our fault for producing a crappy game. So if only you had trusted us more. If only you had waited another 3 expansions, then it would have been good.
Yeah, only you'd given us several $100s as an individual in the interim.
So this is all about broken trust, and Blizzard's entire BlizzCon is focused on regaining that trust. But the tactic they have chosen, that is to engage only people who are super engaged in the lore and completely marginalize the player as an active agent in World of Warcraft, shows that they don't understand what's going on or how to win people back. I can understand how they came at the decision to do what they did, because the story has been such dog shit that trying to inspire some faith that the story will not continue to be dog shit is a reasonable sounding proposal. But the problem with the story is not just that it's dog shit. The problem is that people are not part of the story at all. They're not involved. It's something that's happening to other people for irrelevant reasons somewhere else in the world, often off screen, often outside the game. Why would anybody be engaged?
So, if I had to pick one place to start fixing World of Warcraft, it would be the story. At least they've Oh.
Well, it's not that.
We'll see
it's
what
not a
happens
matter of
on that
picking one
front.
place. They have no choice. They have to
have no
fix the
choice.
story
They've
because the
got to.
story is broken.
The story is an absolute shambles. They've got to fix it before they can fix anything else.
You don't have a world if you can't tell stories in that world. And they've just tangled themselves up with so many unbelievably pretentious, high concept story ideas that never got realized, and they just, drop bits and pieces of them into the game to try and appear deep. Like, it's got Lost Syndrome, something wicked.
Oh, it does.
Where
That's
they
the
just-
thing is, Warcraft in general has never been high concept. It's like, here's
it's
some orcs,
Pulp
here's some
Fiction.
humans, bash them together. There you go.
It's supposed to be pulp fantasy, where everybody's got swords and spells and does awesome things. Like, it's basically, everybody has made this comparison. It's a comic book, right?
It is a comic book.
World of Warcraft is comic book, which means that while you can tell good stories within it, ultimately it's pulp fiction. Like, it is doing wrong what Final Fantasy cinematics are doing right? Like, Final Fantasy's heritage is, like, shown in action, ultimately, right?
Very much so, yes.
And they just lean into it hard. Everything attempts to be just slightly more over the top and badass and shown in action than the last thing. World of Warcraft went the complete opposite direction and tried to marginalize their strength, which was, manly heavy metal comic book action, because it was decided by somebody who doesn't play the game or care about the franchise that it wasn't suitable for modern audiences. This is just a ridiculous idea that you can make more money by marginalizing the people who got you going in the first place. And for some reason, that just seems to be like a stock standard decision Western developers routinely make. Oh, just marginalize the current audience. We know better now. And then you get things like what should we call it? Volition going out of business because of Saints Row reboot.
They deserved that.
Yeah, they did. But all they did was exactly what World of Warcraft has been trying to do to itself for years. They were just way more successful.
Or success is a variable term, yes.
Well, whether or not they realized it, their actions were leading towards the end goal of killing themselves, and they succeeded.
You failed successfully. Well done. So yeah,
I mean, it's the same. It's like ultimately the same mode of behavior that they're engaged in. They've disregarded appealing to the customer in favor of their own idea that they think is interesting and better than what those filthy plebeians in the audience think they want.
Yeah. Anyway, to stop this dragging out, they didn't announce too much more for World of Warcraft, at least. They've done one thing which I suspected they wouldn't, though. And that is that brand new shiny flying system they put into Dragonflight, is they're going to extend it back to the rest of the game.
Well, they outright said they were going to do that.
Yeah, but I suspected that was a
they
lie.
just said that they said they were going to do it, but they had to redo the skeletons for a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
and it required a huge amount of back work because it's the same principle fundamentally as things like Final Fantasy 14 having to roll out their texture upgrades to all the armor a bit at a time because it's just too much work to do all at once. The flying system in Dragonflight was the prototype to be added to do everything much later, and they had sort of intimated as much.
Yeah,
it's just that you've got to sort of individually review every single flying mount and the way it interacts with the system in order to make it work. And there are probably some that are probably going to be delayed.
Yeah, there are. It's not going to be on every mount. It's going to be everyone's they can get done in time. Making the Nether Drake work as a different and look like it's working properly with that system is going to be a different kettle of fish than like trying to make Mimiron's head behave. Yeah.
Or the water strider thing that normally lets you walk on water.
I'd honestly expected that one to be one of those things where they just kind of hope everyone forgot about it, and it just goes in the too hard bucket.
It was one of the very few things that people actually liked about Dragonflight. They can't afford to get rid of it.
Yeah, exactly. But, yeah. They've got a track record of just doing that. Of making good content redundant or just forgetting about it.
Well, I mean, so does Square Enix, unfortunately. Bosnia.
Bosnia, yes. So, yeah. So it's not the worst showing that they could have made.
Well, I mean, it shows, if nothing else, that there is a problem. They recognise that there is a problem, and they've reached a point of desperation in regard to fixing it.
Yes.
Which is where they need to be. They need to be desperate. They need to be afraid. Because otherwise they're not going to give it their A game.
Yeah, you've got to go up from here, Blizzard.
Yeah, it's similar to what I was telling Sarathus in another thread that was on our Discord. That, it's good and everything that Blizzard's recognizing problems, but anything they put out is going to be better than what came before because they were at the rock bottom of the barrel with Shadowlands.
Oh, yeah.
And so, while whatever they're doing now, even if it's just using a nail gun to shoot nails into your foot instead of your testicles, that's an upgrade.
But ultimately, people are going to behave in a way consistent with past performance being an indicator of future performance. And past performance has been completely naff.
Yeah.
That's why they brought back Metzen, because he harkens back to a different era of past performance.
He's probably the only person there who has any clue what he's doing.
Artifact.
They're trying to defuse that cancer that is currently riddling their corpus of work.
Yeah. So, yeah, that they're willing to actually finally, after so many years, is that they're kind of willing to show that they're potentially listening.
They're treating it
listening
seriously.
Yeah.
They're treating it seriously. They're acting in a way that suggests they realise that their previous approach just did not work, because they've actually changed their marketing tack, if nothing else.
Yeah.
And their marketing tack is based on regaining trust and giving people confidence that the game will continue to exist multiple expansions into the future, because it has become evident to them that simply promising that they've planned 3 expansions ahead is not going to win anybody's trust anymore.
No, they've got a long way to go, and they've at least showing the signs of going that way. Which you can't say the same for Overwatch and Diablo, though. Those people are just going to eat shit.
It remains to be seen whether or not Metzen can sort of like use his gravity as sort of like an old hand at this game to actually get the overall directorial process to play ball with the vision of a coherent world again, because I keep I think everybody does keep referring to Shadowlands as sort of emblematic of everything that is wrong with their current thinking. Where you've got this one sort of siloed world disconnected from everything else, and anybody who doesn't think it's cool, it's a problem with them and not with the writing.
I wonder if he took the Yoshi P approach when he walked into that office again. Sat everyone down and just said, we do it YMA or we don't do it at all.
In order to get him back, I expect they promised him the authority to do that.
Yeah, but again, we know how much a promise means to Blizzard. So, we shall see.
Well, he is almost certainly on an enormous sweetheart contract.
Oh my, yes. Like, he was happily retired. At least from Blizzard.
Like, Metzen, and he must have had a big reason given to him to come back, because...
Well, WoW was always his baby.
Yeah, it's that, and they probably... I don't know. That's a lot.
There's not a lot of percentage and speculating on the matter, really.
Not really.
But ultimately, bringing him back is a change from the current paradigm, because the current paradigm was for their writing team, as it existed, to be incoherent, disjointed, and still assume they could do no wrong.
Yeah.
But, commercial figures have shown that that is not the case at all.
You can do very much wrong. Speaking of doing wrong, they do have a few little announcements about Classic. They are releasing Cataclysm, but they say they are making changes to Cataclysm.
Okay.
That could very well just make it a great deal worse.
It could very well. They did announce some...
Especially since launch Cataclysm was the best form of Cataclysm, such as it was.
Yep.
And they thought that desperately needed changing.
And then they proceeded to ruin it.
Yeah, Launch Cataclysm is, honest to God, one of the best expansions they've ever had.
It was one of the heights of WoW, yes.
Now, a lot of people don't remember that, because they were...
It didn't last very long.
Well, it was a period of WoW's history that was exactly one patch long, and then the entire world changed.
Yeah, but the That got radically changed immediately.
Yeah. So they've announced a new system which basically lets you mess around with your class role and something like that. It seems like it's an alternate game mode though, and not necessarily part of your main progression. See Blue Mage. I don't know if it's going to be included or not. They didn't talk too much more about it. And they were very vague about the changes they were making to Cataclysm as well. So...
Burn Your Dead. Oh, okay, they don't one-shot you yet.
So, there is stuff happening there. I'd actually be interested to see the numbers. Is retail the more popular one at the moment, or is classic?
No, they're never going to release the actual.
They will never
numbers
release
anymore.
those numbers. No.
And even then,
Classic is all bots, so
Yeah,
Classic has
true.
been. Classic has had an issue from day one in that the botting problem's out of hand, and now they've compounded other issues on top of that make Classic significantly less appealing. The purity of the product being diluted aside, they just haven't addressed generic issues like the bots, or like the fact that people didn't necessarily want the pace of content release for Classic that they were putting out. People went back to Classic because they were okay with hanging around in a world that's a little bit older, but we're very quickly moving to Modern WoW.
Yeah, we've been in
And
Classic.
even then, most people
years?
wanted an old school RuneScape type experience, not them just to re-release the exact same dang thing over and over again.
Yeah, branch it off.
yeah, it's like they didn't sign up to a catch-up program here.
The catch-up program is the lazy way.
Let's move on.
We shall see. So, also notably, they did not have any Q&As at BlizzCon. They will be done in live streams sometime next week.
Yeah, where they can
Well,
carefully select
Q&As
the questions.
Well, they already did for the most part. It was only the only questions that people shouted at them from the audience that they couldn't get away with not answering because everybody could hear it that were not planned already. Like, it was just another one of those things that everybody saw as dishonesty on their part, so they can't afford to do it anymore. Like, if they did a Q&A, people would just assume, oh, well, they're skirting around the things they don't want to talk about. They're not being fully honest with us. They can't afford that appearance anymore because, like I keep saying, trust is the problem now. It is better for them to have a carefully groomed set of statements that can be picked apart than for them to act as though they're willing to answer questions when they're really not.
Yeah, Blizzard has had a history with Q&As. Not a good history.
This BlizzCon especially, they can't afford another is this an April Fool's joke or Red Shirt guy moment.
Yeah,
Like
they were
like
both Red
they
Shirt
just,
guys.
Like, yeah, I mean, well, the Red Shirt guy is different than the is this an April Fool's joke guy.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah, they could not afford
right
to
now
ship them in again.
they've got a community that just doesn't believe them and thinks they're full of it whenever they promise anything. And they need to do as much as they can to assuage that crowd, and anybody that can say anything that could potentially shake confidence can't be allowed to speak. Okay, reverse through the Karen.
Yeah, they need to control. They're desperate to control their messaging right now. I think that they're doing it clumsily. They're not aiming it very well, in my opinion. But they are trying to maintain message control because they can't afford anything to go off script again. Like, don't you guys have phones? Was way off script.
Yeah.
They don't need that anymore.
Those also happened at Q&As. But yeah, that tends to be when the reels really fall off for Blizzards, because they get up on stage, someone asks a question that they honestly should have been expecting in some capacity, and they panic and make some sort of massive PR faux pas.
Fortune, site,
Do the thing.
rage. I'm doing the thing.
Do the thing. So yeah. The Q&As that come out next week are probably going to be the most sanitized things you could hope to see, but they might actually answer some questions. Maybe. And that was basically BlizzCon. I kind of tuned out after that point because...
Yeah, this your perception of BlizzCon is going to boil down entirely to how much you personally have been convinced Blizzard are a bunch of liars. And you can't lead a horse to water and make it drink. Like, the evidence should be abundantly clear right now, but some people are going to get suckered by it. And there's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah.
It's not even really necessary that we convince them. But yeah, I just personally, I don't believe these mofos. Anything they say, as far as I'm concerned, is a lie.
Yeah, and
much like with the unknown disease of unknown origin, people involved in propagating it, I just view as liars now. And then you have to do something and build points, build reputation back after you get the liar brand with me. Sorry. Yeah. That takes time, a long time. And until then, I will continue to advise people to stay away from you because you're a liar.
Doesn't help that the with Dragonflight, the copium has worn off, and a lot of the people who are still playing that are just seeing it as like a meh expansion. A lot of ways.
They've realized
it was a meh expansion. Like,
it was a meh expansion.
They patched over some of the gaping chasms from Shadowlands, and released an incoherent nonsense story that nobody cared about.
It's like, look at the dragons.
It's like, this game functionally operates and doesn't format your hard drive. Like, that's the level we're working at, is that the game doesn't format your hard drive when you start it up.
Well, that's definitely
foot instead of testicle.
So, yeah, it's like, Dragonflight was kind of, I think, maybe the start of a new foundation, I guess, because after Shadowlands...
No, I don't think it was. I think it was sort of like... I think that's the last sort of... The waste heat radiation is flying away at that point.
More the point... Maybe that probably wasn't the best way. Maybe it's just a holding pattern. We'll call it that instead.
Yeah, so they've realised that there's something horribly, horribly wrong. They don't have a clue what to do to fix it at this stage. Nobody on the team has the talent to address the issue, and they're just trying to tread water and not go bankrupt while they figure out how they can salvage the situation.
So we'll put out an expansion that really changes nothing, but it's not offensively bad.
Their conclusion was bring back Metzen.
Yeah. And
from what Metzen presented at BlizzCon, it looks like they're just going to abandon every single plot thread used in Dragonflight entirely.
Yes.
Like Dragonflight is going to be abandoned. Apart from his residual trauma, the plot from Shadowlands abandoned. Battle for Azeroth, some stuff will come back because they've created dangling plot threads there. So, yeah, like, and most of it is going to be a sequel to Legion by the looks of things.
Yeah. Although Legion also had its big issues. See Dictatorship Naru.
Well, I think that's a sophomoric plot decision, but it was at least a plot decision. They decided, okay, so we're going to go this, slightly cliche route where everything is sort of like, relativistic and every side balances off every other side. There are no real good guys or bad guys, etc. Like, I think that it's a banal and trite approach, but it is at least an approach. And when Legion came out, there was still like the vestiges of continuity between Legion and other storylines that preceded it, save for the fact that all of those continuities took place in books instead of in the video game.
Yes.
You have to play the video game to get your video game story.
Yeah, but when you've got some of the biggest key lore moments happening in the books and not in the game, a lot of players just miss it entirely. They don't know what's going on.
I bought and read War Crimes before Draenor came out, before Warlords of Draenor came out, and that was because that gap was enormous.
Yes.
There was literally no way to bridge it if you didn't read the book. Like, the narrative gap was colossal. The only thing that you knew is that 1 minute you defeated Garrosh at the end of Siege of Orgrimmar, next minute we're going to an alternate Draenor, which is full of orcs that we're fighting now because reasons.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing to fill that gap. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
It just happens. Like, some of the other books are bad about it, like the lead up for Battle for Azeroth's like, okay, what was this treaty that we're all talking about? Why is Arthas' sister suddenly around? Things like that. but it wasn't nearly as bad as that one. That was the biggest one.
Yeah, there's just so much even if you've read War Crimes, there's still a ton of missing information. I don't even know where you get it all from. But
yeah, I read
yeah,
that BFA book in hopes of figuring out what the hell they were actually dragging at for Sylvanas, and that really answered.
No, Sylvanas was just somebody's waifu, and they decided to make her a Mary Sue.
yeah, a bunch of Sylvanas' backstory is also in War Crimes for some reason.
Yes.
Not that she really did anything throughout the entire Draenor expansion, but yeah.
It was there. I guess. It's just a thing. Yeah, basically it was, honestly, Sylvanas whining about breeding, for want of a better way to put it. Okay, that's probably the worst possible way to put it, but I'm going to leave it like that, because it makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah, maybe not the ideal choice of terminology when you're talking about a race of corpses.
Yes, but that was kind of her driving force during that book. Is like we're a static population, and once someone's dead, that's it. There's no
but you see, they retconned all of that. Remember, it was now just all part of the Jailer's plan.
Yeah, that was Jailer who did it. Now,
Yeah,
I thought they were originally going to retcon that with Arthur's sister, but that went nowhere.
Yeah, she was actually not interested at all in all the things that she kept saying she was interested in. She was just obeying the grand design of this character nobody's ever heard of.
Okay, so it's now Mr. Giant Nipple is the reason behind everything.
Yeah, that was why he became such a meme, was because they attributed everything to him.
Yes. It was bad enough when they were going, oh, odd gods did it.
I do love that the Jailer has given us the WoW animations from the guy that did the WoW Classic healer animation. So you get to see animations of him just making fun of the Jailer and his nipples.
Just zoom in on the nipples. Well, the cutscenes all did that because they always insisted on a low angle for the Jailer, so you're just looking straight at his nipples.
Yeah, he has parts in his videos where he'll just splice in random in-game actual cutscenes. And just have a notation, this is actually from the game.
And it's usually got nipples in it.
Yeah, it's exclusively when it's zooming in on the Jailer's nipples.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely there's somebody on that team who has a fetish
You're
or something.
trying to tell us something, Mr. Animator.
Yeah, it's sort of like how in Shield Hero, it seems to me, I don't know if this is just my impression, that the camera spends an awful lot of time lingering on Philo's bare feet.
No, that's not just you. I think the animator is trying to tell us something there as well.
I'm not sure they're trying to tell it. I think they just have a proclivity and they're going to use it.
So yeah, that was BlizzCon. Now I think there's still a few more things to come out of it, but it is still actually ongoing at the moment, I believe, or wrapping up at the moment.
Yeah, I haven't said a lot during the BlizzCon thing, other than to comment on what Charles said, because I just don't have my own thoughts on it, because I just don't care about Blizzard. That they've lied to me. That they've broken trust with me completely. Reestablishing that is a basically impossible feat for a company.
For me, commenting on the matter, it doesn't come from a place of passion in any way, even if it sounds like it does. For me, it's more like this is a sort of a lesser version of watching geopolitics from across the other side of the world. Like, it's just a spectator sport. They've already shit the bed so badly that I don't want to go back. I mean, I can sort of, unlike RSTU, I can sort of, if I try really hard, imagine a theoretical scenario in which I might experience the impulse to return, but I can't imagine the route that would lead to it actually producing that scenario. Like, it would have to be, the world as a whole would have to be a different place to what it is now, because I just don't think Blizzard is capable of producing content that I have faith in. Yeah. Because that's what they need. They need my faith. They don't just need my money. They don't need my interest. They don't need my hype. They need my faith that I'm going to put time into it and that I'm not going to be betrayed. But they only betray people. They have never not betrayed anybody for like more than a decade. So I can't put my faith in them.
There we go. Hands open. But yeah, it's a mess with Blizzard. I don't see a parallel universe where starting from the point of I decided not to ever go back to WoW again that I could ever go back. I just don't think it exists. Like
I don't think that the Blizzard that exists now does not have the talent to produce something that makes me want to go back.
yeah,
I can sort of imagine sort of by way of routing it through nostalgia, I can imagine a scenario where a WoW existed that I really wanted to be a part of, but there is no talent at Blizzard that can produce that product. It can't happen. It's just impossible.
yeah, you know, like them or hate them, you look back at and look where some of the people have gone that used to work at Blizzard and used to be the heavy hitters there, and you can see how these people made video games that were fun. That they understand things about game design and about writing and things like that that the current people at Blizzard just don't, because the current company is a totally different entity than the Blizzard we grew up with.
Well, also, like, and this is something that I often say, and in some cases unfairly, but it's the vibe I get, and it's the vibe I got from watching the cinematic as well. That the current team of people that do narrative for World of Warcraft have their heads full of Marvel cape shit and nothing else. Like, there is no writing technique, there is no plot, there is no dialogue structure. There's nothing that they have in their mind to draw on that does not come out of Marvel.
Oops.
They've just steeped themselves in that pop culture and that pop culture exclusively because it's the popular thing.
Days.
And they just don't seem to understand that. Like, why would you want to rip off Marvel? Marvel are trying to rip off Marvel and it's destroying them.
Yeah, Marvel is falling apart at the seams.
But everything has the same sort of, like, the sort of wry millennial pseudo humor that isn't really funny, and the sort of faux depth, what they call it's full of deepities, things that sound deep at a glance, provided you don't think about them at all. But they're just basically pithy catchphrases. That kind of thing. That's all that exists in writing these days. Like, the modern Western plot writers in the video games industry they're just straight up untalented, is what it comes down to.
You just wasted that.
Well, they drop on the floors that end in 60 and 70, and you can't really use them until the like, 90s anyway.
Fair.
All of the people who are working on World of Warcraft's plot all thought Rick and Morty was funny.
Rick and Morty was not funny. Rick and Morty sniffed its own farts harder than anything else.
That's the easiest way to describe the way they think. They were from that generation of people who thought Rick and Morty was fun and clever and edgy and deep. It's not.
It's not.
They are not.
It's awful.
But they think that they are because the purpose of Rick and Morty was to make you think that you're like that you're deep, that you're interesting, that you have got ideas. You don't. The only way that you can sort of build forward now is if they return to the past and learn what made the great writers of yesteryear great, as opposed to just assuming the latest trash that got spat out by Disney is great.
I'll get ready to grab the thing. Grab the chest. Oh, we're going to a boss room.
Oh, okay. Well, it doesn't matter.
Not so much for that.
This should be interesting.
It won't do anything. It'll do literally nothing.
A boop.
I'll be bopping him for like 2,000 damage. And we got 3 people. I'm not going to burn our palms.
Easy. This thing's easier. Whee. This is why I don't like melee.
Oh, I got a healer. I guess I don't have to take Fern on a walk, too. Here we are.
Bees.
Got the bees.
Not the bees!
Bees! I'd help, but no range option.
He will not attack anybody, by the way, if you're not next to him during that phase.
He just sits there?
Yeah, he'll just sit there and shoot the laser beam. He won't do any auto attacks if you don't follow him to his corner.
Huh.
So if you're not melee, you can just let him chill over there and throw his laser beam at you.
Okay. We get one of the best boss theme songs going in this game, and we're fighting a weed.
I'm just gonna burn the turret and blow him up.
Yeah, just blow it up. There we go.
No effect. What do you mean no effect?
Oh,
Vol
still marked as
have his-
prey. That debuff.
I think
worked.
Vol had his. Did you have your speed up going?
Huh?
Oh, you don't have your speed up yet.
That's like the last ability you learn.
All right, we
Yeah.
should.
Artifact.
This is probably a good time to start wrapping up.
Yeah, let's call our dungeon exploration there. Alrighty, folks.
BlizzCon. It was honestly about what I expected.
It
Yeah,
happened.
Send us your thoughts on it. Maybe you got a perspective that's different from us. If you call Dragonflight good, you're gonna get a lecture from me again.
Dragonflight was meh.
Nobody is calling Dragonflight good overall, I don't think. Everybody at this point has realised that it was mid at best and are trying to forget the fact that they were ever hyped for it. I think that Dragonflight, if nothing else, has caused people in retrospect to be more honest with themselves about what they think about World of Warcraft.
Yeah, like to be fair, I can understand people getting really hyped for Dragonflight because they were coming out of Shadowlands.
Well, that's the point.
Yeah.
That is the entire reason I tell people, I jump on people's butts about them telling me Dragonflight's good. Of course you're going to tell me Dragonflight's good.
You just played Shadowlands, the worst
Yeah,
expansion they've ever made.
Yeah, that, like, you got done shooting yourself in the testicles with a nail gun. Now that you're shooting yourself with your foot, in the foot, you're going, oh, this ain't so bad.
Yeah, it's bad. Bad. Meanwhile, I was actually just wondering what a few of the other WoW devs were doing, and there is a news article from one Greg Street, aka Ghostcrawler. And he's opened up a new MMO studio under NetEase. Fantastic Pixel. Hasn't actually announced what game they're making yet. They've just opened up their studio. But it's also under NetEase, so...
China money.
Yeah, they're just calling the codename their game Ghost. Which really tells you absolutely nothing.
That's a little bit self-indulgent, don't you think?
Just a bit, yes. They should have called it Crab. Then there'd be no illusion. So yeah. We have a bunch of ex-WoW people who are now open their own MMO studio. So, yeah, that's a thing. That's all there is to say about it, because they haven't announced anything else.
Yeah.
They do call themselves a fully remote studio, which is...
That's dangerous.
Yeah, that's going to cause some problems. Everybody seems to think that that's a good idea until they actually try and run a company like that.
Yeah, a lot of companies tried that, and they're realizing that, no, it just doesn't work.
And Blizzard, of course, because they can't do anything without screwing up, then attempted to overcorrect.
Oh, yeah, naturally. There's also a lot of companies doing that.
Yeah. You need people around each other to bounce ideas. It makes for a better environment for
Or
making
to
sure everybody's...
get them to do work at all, rather than just sitting at home in front of their computer with their dick in their hands all day.
That's true. They're even worse than normal because they're the California type, so they probably do need extra babysitting aside from the usual babysitting.
Yeah, Remember, WeWork exists too. Companies like that where they are literal adult babysitters.
Yeah, like the amount of babysitting that new employees need now is it. I was not in the work environment in a scenario where I could actually pay attention to this in my adult life, because my adult life employment has consisted of working for the family business. But the bits I've glimpsed into it, it just doesn't paint a good picture.
Yeah, I'm here to tell you that people will you will offer somebody a job where you pay them to do work, and then they will whine about having to do any work. And then the second that you take your eyes off them, they will just try and sneak away. And they have no moral compunction about this. They have no sense of obligation to fulfill their end of the bargain at all. It just doesn't exist.
Anywho, let us wrap up then.
All right, folks. Talk to us about BlizzCon and give us your opinions on it. We'll get to it when we get to it next week, and we'll see what news is around. You got anything else for us in this out?
That's it.
All right, folks. We'll see you then. Sign on. Bye-bye.